Hi, good morning. This is A Big Issue. You're welcome to a platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. We call it The Big Issue. My name is Selom Adunu. This morning, there are a number of issues on the plate we want to look at. First of all, in the week, we saw young protesters being rounded up by the police and subsequently being remanded into police and prison custody for 2 weeks. Their crime, they demonstrated against the menace of Galamsey, but the police say that their demonstration was in excess of the law. We will look at that and see if indeed the demonstration was even unlawful. What is even an unlawful demonstration? They were demonstrating in pursuit of their constitutional rights to assemble and then to express themselves. Why did the police do that? And then did the demonstrators also do things contrary to law? Why did they block roads? Why did some of them turn off the police cars and purport to run away with the police keys? Why did they do all of that? We'll look at all of this in the context of the law. And the 2 weeks remand, is that not too excessive for young people demonstrating for a national cause? We'll look at the matter of Galamsey as well, which led to all of this. It's been weeks and weeks of renewed advocacy against the menace, but the Flagstaff House or the Jubilee House has remained silent. That's appeared nothing much is happening apart from a so-called ad hoc committee set up by the president. The president himself is here to comment openly on this matter. Also, the Electoral Commission has said there is no need for a forensic audit into the electoral roll for the 2024 elections as demanded by the NDC. They say that many avenues exist under our laws that have not been exhausted. What are these avenues? And why is the NDC still insisting on this? Indeed, the Movement for Change leader, Alan Chamantin, has added his voice to the calls for audit of the voters' roll. We'll analyze all of that as well today. The show is live and interactive. You can join us by sending your messages to our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, or 020 444 7033, 020 444 7033. I'll take a short break, return, provide some updates, and then we'll get a discussion underway. Once again, you're welcome. You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue. My name is Selom Adunu. Two key issues, maybe three. Some demonstrators against Galamsey were rounded up by the police and handed a 2-week remand by the courts. The courts refused them bail. They were demonstrating against Galamsey. What is the status of the Galamsey fight now? Many are expecting the president to speak and spell out how he intends dealing with this scourge. Indeed, it's a scourge that has lived with us for some time, but it has been exacerbated now. A number of licenses have been issued in the last few years, and the situation has become dire. Ghana Water Company says that they are unable to treat water in the volumes they've done in the past, and it's become even more expensive to do so. The water treatment unit or plant in the Ashanti region, parts of the Ashanti region, are also saying that if nothing is done, they will have to shut down. It does appear that we are inching closer to a situation where Ghana will be importing water. Something has to be done, and people are looking up to government for leadership. Several civil society organizations have issued more than 50 statements, and they still continue to issue the statements against this. So that was the matter the young people were demonstrating against before it turned south. Also, so we'll look at the Galamsey matter as well. The EC has been saying that they will not conduct any forensic audit into the voters' register ahead of the 2024 elections. The NDC is insistent on that. So we will have to find out what the two sides think. We may have to find a middle ground somewhere along the line. So just to provide you some updates, Oliver Bakavomawo and 12 other members of the Democracy Hub have been remanded into police custody for 2 weeks with a scheduled court appearance on October 8th. This brings the total number of individuals arraigned for their alleged involvement in the protests and disturbances to 53. There is more in the following report.
Mishandling of the accused persons in custody, asserting that they are being properly cared for. Currently, 53 individuals have been remanded, with 9 in prison and the others in police custody. Defense lawyers have accused the police of maltreatment, including denial of food and health care. Justice Remsai, representing Bakavomo, stated that his client's cellmates were in distress due to inadequate medical attention during an emergency, alleging that Bakavomo only received care after collapsing. While seeking bail, defense lawyers argued for their client's release, but the prosecution countered, claiming the accused are fed adequately, even stating they receive meals from Papaya. This assertion provoked outrage from the defense. Superintendent Sylvester Asari, head of legal for the Ghana Police Service, testified that he personally supervised the distribution of food, confirming the prosecution's claims. In opposing bail, prosecution raised concerns about the unknown residences of the accused. After considering the arguments, the judge denied the bail applications, remanding them into custody until October 8. Following the proceedings, the dissatisfied accused sang patriotic songs.
Come out of the streets!
Do not be afraid of the person who is taking your life, but be afraid of the person.
Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu, present in court, also expressed dissatisfaction with the court's decision.
I'm extremely shocked that the learned trial judge remanded them. I'm shocked. This case doesn't require a remand. The police didn't make a good case for a remand. And you see, you read Oko versus the Republic, the days of Taylor J. You read the decision of Oko versus the Republic, then say, yes, the law is alive. In this particular case, what I witnessed in court, I don't think a good case was made for a remand.
All right, so that's Martin Pebu, a lawyer for some of the accused, speaking to the press after being denied bail by the learned judge. He said he was disappointed, but that is the reality, or that is the state of affairs. They are in remand as we speak. My guest for this morning, Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Fred Agbanyo, NDC parliamentary candidate for the Guan constituency, Bobby Banson, private legal practitioner, Andrews Apia Dankwa, private legal practitioner and member for the Movement for Change, Franklin Kujo, President, Imani Africa, and of course, we have the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Tuayeboa, who is joining us for a quick view on the matters. So this is our lineup for today. Let me start off quickly with the Deputy Attorney General. Normally, when you go to court and the Attorney General is in court, you take the Attorney General first. So I start with the Deputy Attorney General. The Honorable Alfred Tuayeboa, good morning, and you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, my brother.
I guess you are well. The state has been confronted with a situation now. Several demonstrators, mostly young people, have been remanded into police and prison custody by the court. Indeed, your lawyers argued in court against the application for bail by lawyers of these demonstrators. How do you feel? You feel excited that your opposition to the application to grant them bail was granted, or was the bail application was refused? I want to take your initial feeling and impression on the success of your opposition, first of all.
All right, thank you very much, my brother. And greetings to my brothers who are also in the studio. I would have wished to be in the studio, but for other circumstances. I'm sorry for that. Now, as you really noted, the some people were arrested as suspects. They took part in a demonstration. And the police, in order to ensure that people do not take the law into their own hands, arrested some people that, according to the police, have breached portions of our laws. And so we in the Office of Attorney General, being the legal advisors to the state, as well as lead in all criminal prosecution, took over the docket from the police, studied same, and preferred charges against them. On the issue of the bail, our attorney went to court, and before they went, they had discussions with the police CID, because they are the investigating officers. And the information that they had from the police was to the fact that they needed to accuse more so that they could also do further investigation into the matter. But as you all know, if you go to court and you apply for bail, and when the AG even agrees with you, the decision to grant bail or to refuse it is at the doorstep of the presiding judge. And so we made our case, defense counsel made their case. At the end of the day, the court took a decision that went our way. And so we have no problem with the decision of the court. So these are my initial comments on the bail.
I see. Given that many have said that the offenses the people were charged with are not offenses that should warrant this kind of treatment. Of course, clearly, granting or refusing bail is at the discretion of the court. But people may think that your office leading this charge, your office, aside from being the Attorney General's, is also Minister for Justice, or the Office of the Minister for Justice. You think that the treatment being meted out to these young people led by your office, because your office is prosecuting this actively. It's not as if it's the police, because in some instances you see the police prosecuting with the authority of the AG. Now it's the AG himself with the state attorneys prosecuting this. You think this is justice for these young people, bearing in mind that the court must not use the refusal of bail as punishment to accused persons, given the offenses that they are alleged to have committed, and everything that has gone on, the cause they were fighting as well?
Yes, counsel, I'm happy that you are also a lawyer like myself. When it comes to the meaning of justice, I cannot offer a reading of justice, but my small thinking is that we talk about justice when due process has been followed. And so when an accused person is placed before a law court and is offered the opportunity to have a counsel of its choice, and the court gives the counsel for that accused person the right to be heard in court, and after the hearing, the court comes out with a decision or a determination, that is justice. If the court makes an order or delivers a ruling, and you think you are affected by the ruling in the way that you want to go up, that's why this is to tell you, if you disagree with the ruling, you scale it up. So far as we are concerned, justice is being delivered. It's being delivered simply because it's being done in accordance with law. If, for example, after the arrest of the accused persons, they will not take them to any court, and then the court has just remanded them without hearing them, who will be the first to come out to say, this is not justice, because it was not done in accordance with law or with due process. When it comes to the grant of bail, it matters not, and I repeat, it matters not the offenses that you are facing. The actual fact is that the court will weigh whether to grant you bail, looking at various circumstances. It can be a misdemeanor charge, but the court will look at it and see whether you are entitled to bail or you are not entitled to bail. People even have been remanded for similar offenses in other cases. No issues were raised. As a defense counsel some time ago, there were instances that my clients were remanded for misdemeanors, The only thing that I could do the circumstance was go up. For other courts, we also examine the discretion that the trial court exercised. And so if someone's opinion that you charge with misdemeanor, so automatically, you are tried today, then you may not be having the right law, because the grant of bail is not conditioned principally on the offense that, or the offenses that you are facing. Of course, the court in exercise discretion, they want to look at the offense. When it comes to misdemeanor charge, counsel has to know, an accused person may choose to plead guilty. And if you plead guilty, it's possible that maybe going to prison. So nobody should be thinking that if there is a misdemeanor charge and you're even found guilty, you will not be going, you cannot be in prison. Whether the court they want to imprison you or not imprison you will depend on the circumstance of the case. And so far as we went through all these processes and the accused persons have been remanded, if they disagree with the ruling of the trial court, what they are supposed to do, which their lawyers maybe that have advised them, is that they will fill it up. As I speak to you now, I can tell you that some of the accused persons have filed applications in the High Court. Challenge that was delivered by the circuit court, and that is being processed.
I see. Let's talk about matters before or pre the court attendance. They were arrested, some on Saturday, Sunday, and I think on Monday. Some of those arrested, in fact, almost all of them, we understand because we spoke to some of the lawyers representing them. The lawyers and their relatives had no access to them. Some of the lawyers saw their clients for the first time in court on Tuesday morning. What is your view or what is your impression about this conduct of the police and by extension your office, refusing accused persons access to lawyers and their relatives?
Yes. I have, or our office has no evidence about some of the accused persons not being given the right to have access to counsel. The right to a lawyer of an accused person's choice is a fundamental right. And so anyone who is restricted, detained, or arrested has the right under our Constitution to a lawyer of his choice. That right of access is something that cannot be traded. And it's something that nobody can say they want to just derogate from it. So as I speak, we have no evidence to that effect. But if it did happen, definitely it's something that we will look into. Because it's a fundamental right of every person arrested to have a lawyer of his choice and be given that access to consult his lawyer.
I see. How about the accused person staying in custody for more than 48 hours before being brought to court?
Yes. Per our Constitution, if you are arrested, if you are not granted bail by the police, you have to be placed before a court of law within 48 hours. We know Martin Table's case that Supreme Court decided in 2019. And that case it was held that even during weekends or public holidays, it could be granted by the court. In this particular case, they were arrested on Saturday. Then Saturday was a weekend, Sunday a weekend, then Monday to a holiday. So the next court date that we had was on Tuesday. I concede that if we had gotten a court to sit on Monday or even Sunday, that would have been the ideal position. But we need to also be looking at, as a state, how do we fashion our courts such a way that we can go to court during weekends and even public holidays. And so because we could not activate that one, the only day available was the Tuesday that they were placed before court. This was the only case that people have been in custody for these days and then a holiday. Speaking generally, I think we may have to look at that one again and see how we can look at the possibility of having court sitting on weekends. I know that because most of especially you go to India and other jurisdictions, judges are permitted to even grant bail or remand in their residences at their homes. Do you want to be that way in Ghana? Or do you want a situation where we can have a court that will be designated to sit on holidays and then weekends? That's something we want to look at.
I see. It's interesting because, so for example, in the police headquarters, I know there is a court there which deals with a lot of things, including family law matters. So that's a court of competent jurisdiction which could hear a bail application, I'm sure, and get things done. And I'm not sure who is to arrange for the court to sit on a weekend. I'm not sure who is to make the application to the Chief Justice before a warrant is given for the court to sit on a weekend or a public holiday. But I presume that being Minister for Justice or Ministry of Justice, that should be that should be your job. We knew about a demonstration happening over the weekend, and if the past is anything to go by, we should reasonably anticipate or contemplate that there will be the need to call on the courts because an extended weekend. That wasn't, and indeed, if you read, which I know you have, Martin Pebu number 4 versus the Attorney General number 4, the former Chief Justice, Sofa Akufu, was clear in stating that the state must make provision for public holidays so that the fundamental rights of people will not be infringed upon. Clear case in point, weekend extending into public holiday, the rights of people, constitutional rights, is being infringed upon. That really should count for something. The Attorney General's office should be working feverishly to get this matter resolved as soon as possible. I don't know what you will tell the people who have suffered this injustice in terms of staying in custody for more than 48 hours. But the Office of the Attorney General should be working seriously to get this matter resolved so it does not happen again.
I agree with you. It's something that we will continue to engage the judiciary to see the possibility of having courts on public holidays and then weekends. And I think we have it's going to help all of us. And in fact, if we have a court on weekend, defense counsel can even make the application to a judge before the 48 hours. Say, for example, you're taken to custody and the police decide that they are going to remand you, they are going to place you in custody for within the 48 hours. Lawyers too can say, no, even the 48 hours you are placed in custody, they are going to a judge to make an application for bail. So it's a step that we continue to tread on and then engage the judiciary to see how best we can have that situation in place so that people can access court on weekends and on public holidays.
I see. Very finally, before you go, we later got to know that a pregnant woman is one of the persons remanded. Of course, I heard your previous interview suggesting that the lawyers didn't bring that to the notice of the court. Goes back to my initial point that lawyers were denied access to their clients. And so the lawyer only got to find out on the day of the court. In fact, after the court, because they could not even have conference with their client. They were just brought to the court and the application had to be moved. So now that you know that a pregnant woman is involved in all of this, what can the Office of the Attorney General do beyond saying that the defense counsel should raise the matter and go up?
Yes, after I indicated in my interview 3 days ago, it is the duty of defense counsel to bring information about their clients to the knowledge of the court. And so if the lawyer gets the instruction that his client is pregnant, it is the duty of that lawyer to bring to attention or notice of the court. So the assumption is that if the lawyer handled the case, he had notice of it, but did not bring it up for consideration in court, then that lawyer must be the one to blame. But fast forward, it's now settled that that accused person, who later after being remanded said was pregnant, is after all not pregnant. As to the police statement, they've gone through the process because when that issue came up, we decided to just ask the police whether indeed there's someone within those who are remanded who was pregnant. And from what we've been told, that news that someone pregnant in custody is not true.
So the person indeed is not pregnant. And is that,
yes.
Are we trying to confirm that scientifically or biologically, that indeed the person is not pregnant? The person herself confirmed that she wasn't pregnant. Can you tell us that on record?
From what I know, it's been confirmed scientifically that that person is not pregnant.
I see. That's interesting then. All right. Thanks so much. The Honorable Deputy Attorney General, very good man. Thanks so much for speaking to us this morning. We hope that your office expedites the process so that we get this matter behind us as soon as possible. Thanks so much. Afretua Yeboah is the Deputy Attorney General. Bobby Banson, private legal practitioner, is also joining us on Zoom, but we will come to him in due course. Bobby, you are welcome. All right, so let me start off with you, Andrew. First time on the program?
Second.
Oh, second. Great to have you.
Yes,
you know, your general impression about the protests. They protested in furtherance of a particular cause. Things didn't go as planned, perhaps. The police rounded some of them up, court denied them bail, and here we are. What's your general impression, you know, about everything, given your knowledge of the law and the knowledge of how the public order system works and everything?
Yeah, so let me take this opportunity to wish all of you a good morning yourself. First time meeting you on set. My brother Fred, a good morning, and Deputy General Secretary of my former party.
Your former party.
I wish you a very good morning, and hopefully we can have a nice discussion in service of our country. I think the issue of Galamsey, like we all keep on saying, being an
existential
threat, and in my view, the extent to which the president has slept on his job so far as the management of our natural resources are concerned. I wish to applaud the young people who had the courage, who took the opportunity to show their patriotism in falling on the streets in protest against this crime that has been done in our country. My only disappointment in their protest was their inability to go further in holding the leg of the president to the fire, and that's my only.
How do you mean the protesters?
Yeah. I think because they're protesting against Galamsey, against an activity which is illegal. Now, my view, the real issue about Galamsey is the inability of the person in whom we've created a trust to protect the property, and in his sleeping or in his slumber, this Galamsey has then impacted on our environment, disturbed the ecological balance to the extent that our very existence is at threat. And so, I felt that it shouldn't just have been a protest against Galamsey, but it should be a protest calling on the president, holding the president accountable for his sleeping.
But I thought that's what they did. That's why symbolically they wanted to demonstrate in front of the Flagstaff House.
So,
and look at the placard. Some of the placards called the president to action.
In fact, they should have called the president to resign, or they should have called the president to be impeached. Yeah, you see, because and I'm glad you are a lawyer yourself. The biggest obligation that can be placed on you is where a trust has been created in you. Now, we all know that Article 257 of our Constitution, as in the framework of the Constitution, anticipating the seriousness of the issues concerning our natural resources, felt that they can best protect the sustainability of that venture if they place a trust in the president. So I felt that, and I felt that clearly the problems we are facing is because the president has slept, as in he's deliberately slept and allowed all of our lives to be put at peril. And so they should have not just say we are protesting against Galamsey, but actually to call on the president, not just by writing, as in make it clear right from the word go that the focus of the demonstration is to call the president to be impeached. Now, now having said that, also the way the whole protest has been handled by the police, in my view, it's as if the police is fighting against democracy itself. Because also we should recognize that in 1992, when we took upon ourselves this constitutional democracy, it was in recognition that that was the best system of governance that can best protect our liberties, our lives, and our rights to pursue our individual happiness. And then it is right also because democracy has been with us for quite some time, not just in Ghana, but the world. And so it is right that to sustain democracy, which prior to 1992, we had tried and failed. To sustain democracy, then it was necessary that we deliberately build that political culture that tolerates diverse views and also hold leadership accountable. And that's why also the framers of the Constitution felt that actions or things that represent or rights must be placed in the Constitution that will give us that power to be able to hold government accountable. And that's the right to assemble and the right to demonstrate. And that's why those rights are only fettered by a demand on you that you give the police notice. So having that in mind, the way they've been handled, and this is in no way acquiescing to some of the illegalities they perpetrated to, because we also need to understand that we have a right to demonstrate, but we do not have a right to breach the law in demonstrating. But the way the whole issue has been handled by the police and the shocking refusal of the bail application tells me that what is on trial really is democracy. Because you see, when you look at this deeply and then you consider the long-term effects, what this will cause will kill the desire of people to want to hold government accountable. Because if I go and demonstrate against something as dangerous as Galamsey, and right now we are seeing the evidence of the impact of Galamsey so glaringly. Now, if you choose this route, if people are arrested because of unlawful assembly, which is a misdemeanor, you understand? They are actually arrested as if they are some serious criminals, and then bail is refused. Really, what you are fighting against is not these young men. What you are fighting against is one of the critical cultures that is required to sustain the democracy we have. That is the culture that asks us to demand accountability from people we grant our powers to. And for me, that's really disappointing. It's really disappointing that we would fight against this application of our rights to hold government accountable by using a sledgehammer. You understand? So for me, those are my initial reactions. I'll just call the young people not to give up, not to relent. Let us continue to fight for proper governance, because of the Galamsey, we are all seeing the impact of very bad governance.
Very well. Fred, let me come to you. The demonstration perhaps started well. The cause was good against Galamsey. Good point. They had been engaging the police for some time. Great. But where there were instances that the police describes as excesses, surely the law must act, or the law must be called into action. Let me talk to Bobby, who has to take leave of us. Let me talk to Bobby quickly, then I'll come to you. So just hold your thought. Bobby, welcome to the program. I appreciate the fact that you're hard pressed for time, so I want to take your views on this quickly. Your initial thoughts when you heard that the demonstrators had been rounded up and all of that. I mean, they've been rounded up, went to court, the court refused bail, they've been remanded for 2 weeks, and all of that. What ran through your mind? What was your initial thought as somebody who plays and deals with the law? All right, I don't have Bobby. We're working out some technicalities. All right, Fred, let me come back to you. So demonstrations have been held in the past, even 2 weeks or so, or a week before. We saw the NDC hold such a huge demonstration across all the 16 regions of the country. We did not see the police arrest people anyhow this way, apart from what might have happened in Ashanti, which was an isolated instance. In the 15 regions, very peaceful demonstration. Perhaps because the NDC managed and led that demonstration well, ensured that their members did not obstruct traffic, did not do anything to infringe upon other people's rights. We didn't see that here. The cause was good, but it does appear, according to the police, that the demonstration had excesses, and the police had to be called in to deal with those excesses.
Well, Salam, good morning to you and our viewers, my brothers. I haven't seen council in a very long while.
Yeah.
Abandoned me.
Oh, how?
And, to the good people of the Guam constituency. I think that, as has been established by all of us, demonstrations are part of the democracy. There's no way we can have this system of governance and the citizenry will not have any means of expressing themselves and, you know, putting their grievances out there for those who have the power and authority to be able to correct same. Now, in exercising all our rights, it's also important that we also do it in a very responsible way so that we don't create, you know, any problem for ourselves. But you see, if you look at demonstrations across the world, oftentimes you will see a few excesses. And that is why before you embark on a demonstration, the leadership will engage with the security services. They will have some understanding and some roadmap that they want to, you know, follow. Now, if there are excesses, the expectation then will be that the leadership is held responsible for it, right? You engage them, invite them. If there is a punishment that you are supposed to give to them, you give it to them. But the way and the manner the police went about this particular issue, I think it was not appropriate. I struggle a lot to criticize the police, especially in the public, because all of us will appreciate that without the police, it will be very, very difficult for us to govern ourselves and to live as a society. You know, if they should go on a strike or demonstration one day, all of us will be in trouble. And we all know the circumstances under which they are working. So at all material times, some of us, you know, we want to be very careful as to how we go about the issues. But when we get to where we are currently, then it is difficult for you to want to hold brief for them and say that they have done the right thing. A few of the excesses that we are talking about, that Vomawo had gone to remove the police car key. The demonstration started on Saturday. Personally, I was driving towards 37th and I was going to, what's the name of that hotel? It used to be Golden Tulip, right?
Lancaster.
Lancaster Hotel. So when I got to Opebia traffic lights, the police had placed a barricade the traffic lights, and they told me I cannot access 37 hospital. So I was going to Lancaster, the hotel. So okay, fine. Then you can go and return the same way, because there's no I can go to 37 and come back through the other distance. When I got there, so that people were demonstrating around, I do whatever I needed to do, but then I came back. That first, they didn't hear any problem. It was peaceful. They went about that demonstration, whichever way they want to go about it. And I believe there was an agreement between them and the police that the demonstration would take place at the 37 area where it took place, right? And that is why the police were there to provide the needed protections to them. Now, the people who were demonstrating, we are told, went there with a van containing their food and water. What happened? That the police brought in their towing car, that they were going to tow this vehicle that contains their water and food away. So it is that vehicle, that towing car's key, that Vomawo, because he didn't know how to stop them from taking their food and water away. These people were standing the scorching sun and demonstrating.
And the van was parked where?
And the van was parked around where they were doing the demonstration. The exact spot, I don't know, right? But the report I've heard. But why would you want to tow the car away? Why would you want to take their water away, tow their food away? So what happens to them? Yes, Vomawo doesn't have any right in law to go and remove the key of the police car. That is an issue that can be isolated and dealt with. It can be invited, whatever it is, you can handle it. Now, at what point did the demonstrators start engaging the police in a confrontation? All of us have been part of demonstrations before, and sometimes we know the way the police go about some of these issues. I just saw a video on your set right now, how some people were rounded up. They were standing on the pavement very close to the 37 hospital, virtually just looking on, doing nothing. They were not singing, they were not chanting, they were not doing anything. The next moment, you see a senior policeman leading some junior policemen. Before they would say Jack, they've rounded all of them up and then they took them away. You know, and you went and put these people in the police custody from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, without even doing any screening. So any one of us become a victim, assuming we found ourselves around that area, and we were just standing by to watch what was going on. It would have been picked up and trained our policers. And we all know the state of our policers in this country. And so I thought that the police could have, you know, handled this issue differently than they did. More so, what is the essence of this whole demonstration? Are they people fighting for themselves? Are they asking for salary increments? Are they asking for their condition of service? They said Ghana is under siege. We all know what is happening with this Galamsey issue. And I have said I cannot, for the life of me, describe what is happening right now as an illegality. The mining that is going on in the country is state-sponsored. It's the state that is supervising it. Because that same Saturday, I traveled from here to Takwa. And between Takoradi and Takwa, what I saw, there's no way you can call that illegality. You are illegality.
But you have
normally.
no proof to the effect that
I'll
the state's
prove why
not.
I believe that the
All right,
state's
so just with your thoughts on the proof. Let me speak to Bobby. Bobby has to leave. Hello, Bobby Bansing, legal
Tell Bobby
practitioner.
not to leave. You take time.
Bobby, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you very clearly. I was asking.
Oh, yeah, good morning.
Hey, Bobby, I've missed you.
He said you should relax. All right, so I mean, young people demonstrated. They had a cause that we all generally agree with, but the demonstration did not go as planned, perhaps. The police rounded some of them up, went to court refused them bail, etc. I know you followed right from the beginning, the arrest, etc., and the allegations that they were denied access to their lawyers and relatives, etc. Put all of this together for me, given your knowledge of our society and your knowledge of the law.
Good morning, and once again, Salom. I think that this is a very interesting situation where it will be good to put everything in perspective. Unfortunately, most of the narratives I have seen in mainstream media and social media seems to focus only on one aspect of what the position of the law or our jurisprudence would be. Yes, the right to demonstrate is inherent. The courts have pronounced on that. The provisions of the Public Order Act cannot take away the right to demonstrate. It's only to provide the guidelines, as it were. And that law has not been struck down by Parliament or by court. And so, if you choose to exercise your right to demonstrate, which I do not think that the police have said that they resisted or they will prevent the persons from demonstrating, you, in exercising that right, also must be aware of the responsibilities that the law would place on you. Now, that said, nobody would deny the fact that refusal of access to medicine, to counsel, and to basic human rights whilst in police or prison custody is something that should be encouraged. It could happen to anybody, and the police, if indeed they did the things that they've been accused of, have flouted the provisions of the Constitution. And there's a remedy for the victims, alleged victims. The remedy is not only to sit on social media and fire salvos. Go to court. Prove in the court that you were denied access to counsel, or you were pregnant, you were denied medical attention, or you were sick, you were denied medical attention. And the Constitution provides for remedies to be given to you. And so if they just throw it about like that without taking the further steps to go to court to prove that their rights were infringed upon by the police officers, I think it will still remain rumor. It will still remain those things that always come and be said, and there's no evidence, and it is accusations and allegations. It's as if that there's just a decision to give a dog a bad name and then hang it, when there are courses of action that you could ventilate. Because some of us want to see some of these things come to an end in a very lawful manner, following due process. Because, Salom, I'm sure that we are all cognizant of the provisions of the Public Order Act, which has Section 3, if your time may permit me to read.
Yes, go ahead.
Salom, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
Says that where at any special event, any damage is caused to any public properties, the organizers, or any other persons found to have been responsible for the damage shall be liable to pay for the cost of the damage. And so this is very clear in our law. Where you say you are undertaking demonstration and there's any distraction by the people that you have called to demonstrate, how do we know the organizers? That is why before you undertake any such demonstration, the law requires that you write a letter to the police and tell them this is what you want to do, these are the routes. And the police has a responsibility, because if you look at Section 2 of the same act, it says that it shall be the responsibility of every police officer to take all such steps as are necessary in any public place to assist in the proper conduct of any special event by directing the routes of such conduct to prevent obstruction of pedestrian or vehicular traffic. The law says that it is the responsibility of the police. And so you, as the person seeking to exercise that right, cannot choose the route you want to use. cannot decide on your own that I'm going to block traffic and then prevent people from accessing medical care. Like you rightly said, Salom, there is no reasonable Ghanaian who supports illegal mining and the destruction of our water bodies. Every single right-minded citizen, or even foreigners, will support a cause to bring the government to account or to be responsible for their inactions or actions that have brought us this far. I'm happy civil society organizations have decided to sue certain government agencies and the government for things related to this Galamsey. I read it on your network sometime this week. So that is a cause of action. Nobody says that it is enough. You can decide to demonstrate, and we all support the demonstration if you are going to do it in line with the law. But if you decide to prevent people going to hospitals, seeking medical care, and there are videos like that, from going there because you are demonstrating, you decide the route you use, then the organizers should be responsible. We are in this country where, okay, so let's take us back, because I've seen people make that comparison. During the fight for independence, how did we get the big sis? Because there was a demonstration, people were arrested, the organizers came and said, listen, we are the ones that organize it, so release them, we will be responsible. That is why the law makes provision for either the organizers or the persons who did it, not both. And so if the organizers feel that their cause was just, which we all agree, and these excesses, they will be responsible for it, they should own up and come up and say that leave the persons that we brought onto the streets, that we directed or encouraged to block the roads, burn public properties. And public properties, Salom, you know, Yevu Yibo versus the Republic. The court said that assets of political parties are public properties. And so if somebody demonstrating decides to take an NDC flag in public and burn it, I expect Fred to condemn it, because that is how things like this start. We all say, oh, they are human rights, they are human rights. Look at what happened in America when Trump lost the elections. People were demonstrating, they almost overtook the White House. The highest seat of government in the United States, arguably the most powerful country in the world with the best security. Demonstrators almost overran the security. They actually may have done so and overtook the White House. And so if we do not remind people that, yes, your right to demonstrate comes with certain responsibilities well set out in the law, and we say because there's freedom of demonstration, we should allow somebody to walk to, for example, the seat of government, irrespective of who is occupying it. And that is the problem. The moment there's politicization, it becomes a problem. We lose cognizance of the law, we mix it with emotions, and then we don't set the right precedent. Now, I've heard a lot of talk about bail. Perhaps if you were the judge, you would have exercised the discretion differently. If I was the judge, perhaps I would have exercised the discretion differently. But the fact that the discretion has been exercised not to grant bail does not make it an unlawful exercise of discretion actuated by malice. Salom, you know that the grant or refusal for grant of bail has got nothing to do with the kind of offense. So I've heard arguments like, oh, it is a misdemeanor, so bail should have been granted. No, the Constitution or the court have now said from misdemeanors to murder, it is bailable. However, it doesn't entitle somebody who has been accused and arrested for committing an offense, presumed innocent until found guilty by a court. It doesn't entitle you to bail. You must demonstrate to the court certain basic requirements. First and foremost, your ability to return, if you are granted bail, to face or to go through the trial. We all know that once you have been charged, it doesn't mean that you are guilty. But the prosecution would have a burden to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are or you are not. You would have to go through due process. And the Constitution says that when there's arrest, you must be put before a court of competent jurisdiction. Evidence will be brought. If you are not found guilty, you'll be allowed to go. If you are allowed to go because you are not found guilty, you have been detained unlawfully after the court have come to that conclusion, you can sue the Ghana government for compensation. It is in the Constitution. But before the court grants you bail, the court must be satisfied, amongst others, that when you are allowed to go, you would come back. How would the court satisfy that? Your counsel, or you must be able to demonstrate to the court that you have a fixed or resident place of abode or work, or you don't have the ability to influence investigations, and other factors that we are all aware of. So if you do not put those facts before the court will not merely grant you bail because it is a misdemeanor. No, you must meet these conditions. So if you are going to court and then you know that you ask for bail, you must put before the court evidence of your residence. That is why when you are granted bail on those conditions, you would have to, the police normally would go, or the court officers would go to the place you said is your residence for them to go and look at it. So if you don't provide these evidence before the court, it doesn't matter whether you have killed a person or you have stolen a fowl. The court may exercise a discretion not to grant you bail. And if at first instance you are not granted bail, you have a right to repeat the bail application at a higher court, and in this instance from the circuit court to the high court. But you cannot take the law into your own hands as a leader of a demonstration, and then you are arrested for these excesses, as we call them. But these are clearly unlawful acts. You are showing now in your screen pictures. I think it's an MPP flag, but I saw NDC flag as well being blocked. I saw people who were going to the hospital. They were told that because of the by the demonstrators, not the police, that we are demonstrating, so we will not allow you to access healthcare. I mean, is this the country that we want? I am not saying they are guilty, but I think that as we continue to say that the police should ensure that the right of persons to demonstrate are not curtailed, we must also remind those people who want to exercise those rights that they come with responsibilities. And as a country, we should not shirk those responsibilities because of the cost. Salom, if I see somebody stealing from my house, it is my property that is being stolen. Do I have a right to shoot the person to kill because what I am doing something that is good? No, I don't think that is what we are encouraging. So we should ensure that there's education on both sides. If you want to demonstrate, these are the terms and conditions. If you are not ready to meet them, don't demonstrate. If, like you said, there has been demonstrations, even politically motivated demonstrations, that did not result in some of these things. I have not seen demonstration by MPP that they have ended up burning NDC assets or flags and what have you. And I have not seen NDC demonstration that they have gone to burn assets of the other political party, or because they were demonstrating, then they are blocking, they choose their routes they want to demonstrate and prevent pests. That is clearly in breach of the Public Order Act that I have read. And so I believe that we should allow due process. If they have evidence of the alleged infraction of their rights, they should not just sit on social media and then create hashtags and do all those. They should go to court and prove it. And in this country, people who have been unlawfully detained have been awarded compensation by the court. So there is precedent they can follow. Otherwise, you are just calling the police a bad name just to hang it for whatever reason. And we as a society should not entertain some of these things. The fact that we are speaking against the excesses doesn't mean that we promote Galamsey, as they are trying to let it look. That if you say that, okay, they went beyond, it means that you are supporting Galamsey. Nobody supports Galamsey. But it doesn't mean that if I find somebody doing illegal mining, I have a right to go there and then shoot him to kill him. There's due process. And whether you are in the left or on the right, you must follow it.
Very well. One of the reasons we understand, I wasn't in court, but in engagement with the lawyers or the defense counsel, one of the things I'm told is that they said the guys did not have a fixed place of abode, which is critical, you know, in granting or refusing bail. My point is it a case that all 53 or so of them could not find, or they did not have a fixed place of abode? If some were granted bail, others were refused, then we can understand. But if everybody or every one of them brought before the court, over 50 of them, each and every one of them is being refused bail, then it becomes difficult to go with the point that is because they failed to meet the bail conditions. You know, of course, I understand the discretion bit, but given the public nature of this and the fact that, you know, they may appear or they would appear to stand trial, etc., I thought the decision was a bit heavy-handed. You don't think so?
Salom, I don't know what the judge went into or thought about when he decided to grant or refuse the bail. But like I said, there's the right to repeat the application in the High Court. I have not heard the council. I'm not expecting them to make it public. Maybe they will do it in their repeat application. List the place of abode of each of these persons. You have used that as an example. But like we know, that is not the only condition. The court would have various reasons. And the court at first instance decision is not final. And so they may want to repeat that application at the High Court and see if they can have the discretion exercised differently in their favor. And so it is the 2 weeks or 3 weeks adjourned for them to come back. The police may come back and say that we have investigated. We think that we now have the organizers. They have owned up. They want to be responsible. And so we will let the other persons go because the law says the organizers or any other person. So they may say that we have the organizers. The organizers have provided that these fixed or they've met the bail conditions. The court may decide to let them go. But that is not enough. The court may look at the history of the persons and decide to say that, listen, maybe 1, 2, bail is not meant to be a punishment, but it's still at the discretion of the court. And so I am not holding brief for the court, and I'm not holding brief for counsel for the defense because I do not have the full facts of what they presented before the court and what the court considered when they decided to grant or refuse the bail application.
Does it appear to you that, of course, you just said it, but just to put it differently, does it appear to you that this refusal of bail may serve as punishment to the people?
You know, Salom, the courts, criminal matters have a discretion to adjourn for up to 30 days. If perhaps the courts would have said that I'm adjourning it for that 30 days, I'm taking the full period of adjournment that I'm entitled to, I think that discussion may have been had. But these one were 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Which, Salom, in your practice, in my practice, you know that is the normal time that the courts give. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, normally, they would give you for the police to come back. So I do not see anything untoward that had been done by the length of the adjournment for me to conclude that it is meant to be a punishment.
Very well. Thanks so much, Bobby. Thanks so much, as always.
Thank you very much, Bobby.
And we're happy you joined us today. Have a good time and safe trip. So Bobby Banson is a private legal practitioner. You're just speaking on this matter. We'll take a short break, but before that, let me hear from Haruna Mohammed, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. The MPP issued a statement. We'll get into that a bit later. But Haruna.
But I was making
we'll take a break and come. Then we'll go around. Now we've disposed of the Zoom people so that we have time in studio. So don't worry. Haruna.
He paused. So if you could let him.
Okay, so that from him, I take the break. You come
so yeah, I come.
All right, so go ahead then. Haruna is such a gentleman, is he not?
Yes, he is. Except that sometimes truth and truth, that's fine. You know, I think that I agree with most of the concerns that Bobby raised, and I think all of us here who have spoken so far to have alluded to saying that in exercising our fundamental human rights, we must do that in a responsible manner. We have agreed to that. We have said that when we engage in a demonstration and there are excesses, the leadership of that demonstration must take responsibility. We have said that. My difficulty is the way the police rounded up everybody. Till date, are we suggesting that all the 53 plus people that were taken to court, they refused to grant bail, were seriously involved in a wrongdoing? Because there are footages that are showing that some of them were just standing and watching. They were not doing anything. They were not pushing barricades, they were not fighting the police, they were not insulting anybody. You can show that video. So why are you keeping all such persons till now? Yeah, Bobby is saying that their lawyers should go to court and what have you. It's everybody in this country. See, sometimes when we speak the way we speak, it's very problematic. We have forgotten that the larger section of our society don't have the privileges and opportunities that majority of us, a few of us may have. How many of them can even go and pick a lawyer and say, I'm going to pay and go to court and go and defend myself and do all the things that you are calling for as a lawyer? How many people have the means to do those things? To go and pick the sense of a lawyer today is a joke. How much money is involved? And so a lot of people, there are a lot of injustice that is meted to them, but because they don't have the means and don't have anybody to talk for them, they keep quiet and they go and sit in their houses. And so to suggest that, yes, if they think that their rights have been infringed upon, they should go to court, the lawyers should go to court.
But lawyers are already involved in this.
I agree, but is it for everybody? Are the lawyers for the 53 of them? So that's an issue we can look at. The point I was making really before Bobby came in is that the Galamsey that is going on in this country, I cannot describe it as an illegality, and that the state doesn't know anything about it, or that the state doesn't sanction and support it. I was telling you that over the weekend, I traveled to Takwa. And between Takrady, that is where I really paid attention, between Takrady and Takwa, what I saw. Because normally when people are engaged in illegalities, they will do it under the cover of darkness. They will not do it so openly. But this one, broad daylight, you see excavators in rivers, in water bodies. The men and the ladies are working there. Everybody is driving past. You see the police drive past. You see the military drive past. You see all of us drive past. Nobody is stopping them. Nobody is asking them, why are you doing this? So how do you come back and describe this as an illegality that nobody knows about, that nobody can stop? And that's why I'm saying that it's the state that is sponsoring this. If the security services want to arrest the people who are involved in Galamsey in this country, they can do that within a minute. Mr. President, where he sits, knows everybody who is engaged in illegality. Because he has had an occasion to come out publicly to defend some people. When Akunta mining, whatever it is, was mining in the forest reserve, Mr. President himself came out publicly on television to defend him. That was not doing anything wrong. Because you are taking an instrument to Parliament and make sure a law was passed now to allow forest that has been reserved for, in some cases, 100 years and the rest, for people to be able to move into mine. And the only person who grants that concession is the President himself. He's the only person who allows people to enter into the forest to go and mine, the forest reserve to go and mine. And the evidence available today that people are mining in the forest reserve. So the question is, who is doing it? It's not the President. Is he not the only person that the law allows to grant such a permission for people to enter into the forest reserves? And so I am saying that we shouldn't use the court system. We shouldn't use the police to suppress citizenry and to suppress the people from speaking against the ills in our society. What I am saying, it is a clear case of a show of power.
Show of power by who? Who is using the court system to suppress who?
I have watched the police in recent time, they conducted themselves. Recently, like you rightly said, we embark on
demonstration, but
mammoth across board.
Nothing of that nature was reported. Nobody was arrested.
We conducted ourselves well. We went about the demonstration peacefully. We came back. The police gave us all the protected support. When I listen to my brothers in the MPP, leading members and the rest, the commentary they are running about this issue, and the things I know politicians do in this country, I believe there's a hidden hand somewhere.
You know politicians do. Politicians
well, all of us,
hands.
I know the things we do.
Politicians
I
use
know,
hidden hands.
I know how we are able to manipulate the police.
To manipulate the police against the
Don't
people.
we know? Why are you running away from it?
No, I mean,
know it.
Coming from you is rich. Really,
it is, yes, it's a tried knowledge that we do. We all know it. Some of the things that you see the police do that you blame them for it is not really the police. They are real conscious to not allow them to do things. But there's a hidden big man somewhere, ostensibly drinking whiskey, who is issuing instructions. Go and do this, go and do that. We know the role that they play right from the court and the rest. We were in this country when some young men entered into a court, a trial judge was there, a pregnant judge or whatever it is. They virtually sacked the woman from a court and what have you. I don't know if the president came to say, oh, they've come to apologize. The next moment, they were granted bail, they had to pay some tokens. Is that not happening in this country? So we know when government is interested in a case, the way the police goes about it and the way the court handles it. And we know when the police are working professionally on a case, the way and the manner they handle it. So when you see a political interference, when you see government complicity in an issue, you don't need anybody to tell you.
Very well.
And I am submitting that what happened on this occasion, the police could have stopped the issue right there. They could have prevented the young man. They could have immediately go. When we're having the debate, just to conclude, the meeting we did in Nkwanta recently, we agree on how to move the route to use. Along the line, we need to change the dynamics quickly. The leadership of the demonstration, the regional chairman, organizer, they meet with the police leadership. They stand there, they negotiate, they agree. They say, okay, go ahead, do it this way, do that way. So there was that negotiation constantly on the journey.
But perhaps this wasn't it wasn't the case in this one.
I am suggesting that if the leadership of the police had engaged these people, even on the demonstration day, some of these things that we saw wouldn't have happened.
Very well. We'll take a short break. We'll return. We hear from Haruna Mohammed, and then we advance the discussion. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is the big issue. We're discussing the protests, the arrests, the refusal of bail to the accused persons, the Galamsey, which formed the basis for the protests and matters arising. My guest this morning, Fred Agbanyu of the NDC. Fred Agbanyu of the NDC, his parliamentary candidate for the Guan constituency. Haruna Mohammed, who is just about to speak, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. We heard Bobby Bansim, private legal practitioner. We've already heard from Alfred Tuayeboa, Deputy Attorney General, and Apia Dankwa, private legal practitioner, member for the Movement for Change, the Afafranto movement, is also spoken. Haruna,
Yep.
Many have said that the government could have done better with how it opposed bail applications, etc., for this, and that even though there might have been some excesses, there could be a better way of handling it. Like Fred just said, the police could have engaged the demonstrators on the field better, and these would have been avoided. And the manner in which the people were treated while in custody leaves much to be desired. These should be concerning to you, really.
Thank you very much, Salom. First and foremost, I will say good morning to our cherished viewers out there, and good morning to my colleagues on the panel and those who have joined online. I've heard a lot of discussion around this particular matter, and at some point in time I got surprised that these are some of the commentaries that we are getting from, more especially from our brothers from the NDC. Salom, you know there have been several demonstrations in this country. We have seen the level of professionalism of the police, the manner in which demonstrators have been handled over the period. And not long ago, you saw that Let My Vote Count were out on the street demonstrating on using their constitutional right to demonstrate. And we saw how the police had pounced on them. I find it a bit very difficult to really see what people said that the police had done to them at the point of demonstration. You saw that the police were virtually standing and looking on what the demonstrators were doing. None of them were virtually brutalized as it happened under you. People were beaten, Justice was beaten, his eye was uprooted, Gabi and Co were horsewhipped. A lot of people, hot water was poured on demonstrators. They were chasing them. You could hear the voices that Oya Kokroa. I don't understand Twi so much. Oya Kokroa, and they are beating the people.
Oya Kokroa means what?
I don't know.
Old man.
He's an old man. Okay.
So they were.
That one you remember, but you don't understand.
I just, I picked some of these particular issues. So people were being beaten, chased like criminals, and this was through a demonstration. When I put these two demonstrations on the balance, I am attempted to score the police a very high mark in terms of professionalism in a manner in which they handled the demonstrators here. I agree with the point. I'm not a lawyer. I've heard that the lawyers have made several analysis of the case, looking at how access to hospital facilities were being blocked. And I know that in Article 12(2) of the 1992 Constitution, it stated, and I read, Salom, every person in Ghana, whatever his race, place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender, shall be entitled to the fundamental human rights and freedom of the individual contained in this chapter, but subject to respect for the right and freedom of others and for the public interest. So if you look at this particular carefully, you would see that the public interest was stampeded because you could see other people who wanted to access medical services. I understand people died in the process because...
That has since been refuted.
No, I saw videos of people who have parked their cars and wanted to have access to the hospital facility. Are you telling me that that day, on Saturday, nobody was coming from Opabia wanting to access...
People died because of this.
Yeah, people, I'm saying that people could die in this particular process.
But the fact is that...
the fact is that people could because
yes.
Somebody would want to access that health facility. And because somebody has illegally blocked the road, this is the first time we are seeing demonstrators carrying stones and blocks to come and block the road. And the kind of message that they are giving to their colleague citizens does not write home about at all. It is not good, very distasteful. So I believe that much as you have the right to demonstrate, you have a responsibility to exercise that, to know very well that where your right ends, somebody's responsibility takes off from that particular point in time. So for me, I think that people are talking, they are talking about the police exercising their duty, going to court and what have you. Granting of bails, I understand that there was a narrative of somebody being 68 years who was picked with a child. It is established that the person is not 68 years, he's 50 years. He's called, is it Grace Asantewa? The person was granted police inquiry bail together with the child to send the child home. And that was done. So for me, I can say that there has been established fact that some people were granted bail based on the police assessment or the court assessment. And you lawyers continue to say that there is always the exercise of discretion. And my exercise of discretion cannot also be the same discretion you also exercise. And I believe that it is within the remit of the law. And I think that we must also make sure that much as we want to publicly paint this particular picture out there, we must be very mindful of the legal systems and to be very worried of the fact that when we go to speak ill of a system that is working within the remit of the law, we must be careful to get this particular issue go out of the international cycles to mean an abuse of a process, which eventually is not the case. So for me, I would always and truly defend the Republic of Ghana and stay true to the laws of this republic. And that is what I believe in. You see, the right to demonstrate will always be exercised by the citizen. But we must also be very careful with the way we exercise our right. Nobody here, I mean, if on this table, nobody will support that Galamsey should continue to perpetuate. Nobody, all of us, because we will wake up one day and we will not have water to drink. Me, I come from the north. Even though Galamsey does not go naturally within the northern space, but I think that water bodies cross, and this can affect us at any point in time. And Salom, I disagree with the fact that the president slept on his job when it comes to the fight against Galamsey. We all know Samuel Okujedu sat on a national platform to indicate the number of licenses that was under John Dramani Mahama, Mills Mahama government. It was 56. 56 was licensed. That's true. And then currently, the license means here people who have been licensed to do it legally, to do it right, to do it properly, is 1,503. It means that the president, having said he's putting his presidency online, has went through to make sure, because of the decentralization of the Minerals Commission, trying as much as possible to put in measures to be able to contain this particular exercise, has given the room for people to be able to license and do the mining on a very serene, very lawful, very regulated. And that is very established. So a sleeping president cannot have many people who has been sensitized, who has been trained, who has been told as to how mining should be done. We should differentiate between Galamsey and small-scale mining. There are two different things that we have to. Great. So I disagree with the fact that the president slept on his job.
So your point is that because the Mills Mahama administration issued just 56 licenses to small-scale miners, and the MPP government under Nanado and then Baumia issued 1,503 licenses.
That is where it stands now. So you take the 56 out.
Okay. Yeah. So your point is that in the past they were not giving licenses, and so Galamsey was thriving. And now he has brought all of them under the lawful umbrella, or the umbrella is not a good word to use around the shield.
Use the elephant. Yes, use the elephant.
He brought all of them under a shield.
The shield of the elephant. The shield of the elephant.
You know, so he actually is dealing with a problem. But that's quite an interesting way to put it. But a lot of the people who are doing the mining irresponsibly, some of them are also small-scale mining. So people have actually advised that instead of calling it Galamsey, let's call it irresponsible mining, in the sense that Akunta Mine, the company owned by Wuntumi, is licensed. So all intents and purposes, it should be a lawful entity undertaking a lawful enterprise. However, he went into a forest reserve to mine. That is irresponsible. That is unlawful. So if Akunta Mine, for example, goes into a forest reserve at the time to mine when it was unlawful, it is not an illegal mining company. It's not a Galamsey company. It's a legal company doing irresponsible mining. And we have a lot of them like that dotted across. That is the point.
Salom, I am not saying that the right to legal process should give you the opportunity to extend to an illegality. My brother said here that the president came out to defend Akunta Mining. You know that is not true. It was the minister. It was the minister for Lands and Natural Resources who came out with a statement. And in that particular statement,
at the time he was speaking, Akunta Mining was not in the forest reserve.
If the president was
That's
not,
what the president
if
said.
the president was not briefed to the point
But
at the time he was speaking, if the president was not aware that Akunta Mining was in that particular forest reserve, did you expect the president to confirm so?
No, but the president did not say whether Akunta Mining indeed mined in the forest reserve or not. He said, of course, once the matter had come up, Akunta would stop because they knew they were doing something bad. So at the time the president was speaking, they may not have been in the forest. But the question is, were they in the forest? And was being in the forest illegal? That's the question. The matter has been reported to the police.
The president
and for months,
Akunta Mining per an established investigating body? No.
No, the president said at the time he was mining, he was talking, Akunta Mining was not in the forest.
So if they were not in the forest, and that is a fact, did the president lie?
The president should have been interested in ensuring the investigative process.
And that is why the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources went ahead to do an investigation. In fact, it was the minister that came out to give further and better particulars
that
of
Akunta never mined in the forest.
It indicated how Akunta Mining was in the forest and how at the time that they were in that particular forest, they were not licensed to be there. The minister said so.
Yeah, they were not licensed to be there.
To be in the forest. The minister said so.
So what should happen after that?
So the ministry had issued tentatively statements as to how this was being handled. My point here is that you cannot accuse a president who has taken steps in terms of regulation and making sure that Galamsey or illegal mining is being regulated and call upon operators to be able to mine responsibly, to be sleeping on his job. And that is what I want to make. Again, I would want my brothers to come out openly and also tell us, because he's talking about hiding. Nobody hides. We in the MPP, when we wanted to support the Let My Vote Count, we came out openly and supported them. We joined them in this demonstration. They should come out and tell us who are the people behind the Democrat hub, because they have come out quickly to issue a statement. The NDC should not hide. If it is hiding, it is them. They should come out and tell us. Nobody is sitting anywhere and regulating anything. If you know that you are out to fight something, just come out and fight it. Let Ghanaians know that this is what you are doing.
So
because up to today, we want to know
who are behind democracy.
Who are behind them?
No,
because we have always been very open when we are against something. If there is a demonstration that is going and we want to join, we join it in full force. We don't sit and issue statement.
No, but must somebody be behind them? They are young people.
No, he is asking that somebody is regulating what is happening. We are also asking who is regulating these people.
Yeah, but I'm saying that must somebody be regulating them?
That is why he said, because I have not said, because I wouldn't have gone into that particular tangent.
I think the point is that as far as he's concerned, given how pervasive and widespread Galamsey has become, he thinks that it is state-sponsored. That's what he said.
No, he's saying that he says state-sponsored. I was coming to that point. You ask him. There is no verifiable fact to say that state-sponsored. If you say you are passing and then machines are in water bodies, first and foremost, you ask yourself if it is a pit or it is a water body, right? If the police is standing and doesn't act, if the police is standing and does not act, does not necessarily mean that the state is assisting them to do that. So when you say state-sponsored,
the police is an extension of the state.
The point is that if something is state-sponsored, it is the state that takes responsibility of how the activity is being done. You don't go see somebody doing something. You have not been able to do a background check as to whether the person is given a license to operate where he's operating. Just because you've seen the person and you see security or police on the road, then it is state-sponsored. I believe that your question to him that he can't verify that, I believe that should be stressed upon, because you cannot sit on a national television such as ChannelOne and make this statement and go away, because this is the program of records which must be established.
I appreciate that. But just interrogate that a bit. The point he also made was that if in extending his talk or comment about state-sponsored, which I queried him on, he said the fact that the state looks on for these things to be done, and indeed the president has information, and if he wants to pick up those people, he can do so with a snap of a finger. What do you say to that? If the president really wants to bring this under control,
the state is not looking on. The state is not looking on. The Minister for Natural Resources on the 11th of September issued this statement indicating how the steps that we are taking to be able to bring this under control. So if today is 28th? Yeah, 28th. Yes. It was 11th of September, the same month. Obviously, that tells you that the president is not sleeping. The government is not sleeping on that particular menace. There is a program that is outlined here as to how the Minister for Natural Resources is going to lead in this particular exercise to be able to bring it under control. We cannot say that we are all done and set with the issue of Galamsey. The fight against Galamsey is not an event. It's a process, which I agree that we must have a nationalistic discussion around this particular system, because it is affecting everybody. It is affecting every single individual, not only the mining areas, including we those who are not in the mining areas, because water can travel as fast as possible. And I believe that we must all look at it rather than looking at how many votes that we are going to get from those areas. Remember, in 2020, we were punished dearly for fighting this particular Galamsey. We hired the NDC in the bush, telling them that go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. When we come, we will allow you. Currently, if you check the poster of the NDC, they are saying that they should go ahead and do it, because if they come, they will give them amnesty. If we fight them, if you arrest them, if you do anything, if you prosecute them, and the NDC comes, they will give them amnesty.
But
that's what the former president is telling us.
Yearly for this? I mean,
we lost a lot of seats within. Yes, we lost. We lost a lot of seats.
Which seat did you lose? I think that's not accurate.
In the mining areas, we lost a lot of seats. In the western region.
Which seats?
In the western region, we lost a lot of seats. I have not listed them. We lost a lot of seats. You know it.
No, wait.
You know it.
What you guys normally say is that you lost Pristia Huni Valley and a few other places, but Pristia Huni Valley is been a swing.
Who was holding it?
It was MPP holding it.
Yeah, so we lost it. Did we lose it or not?
You could have lost it with many other.
But the point is that we were fighting Galamsey head on.
No, but you could
have Kweku Boahin, who was in the field telling them that.
You lost other seats. For example, you lost Okankwe North, which had never been won by the NDC before. But did we say that you lost that because of Galamsey?
I am telling you that we lost a number of seats within the mining sector.
Yeah, but
because we were fighting Galamsey.
That claim is inaccurate.
No, it's not.
No, the data doesn't support it.
It's not.
The data doesn't support it.
It's not.
Which seats?
It's not. It's not. We've lost seats, and you agree, and that's why we are.
I'm just saying
that's why we are at par with them.
Yeah, the example you gave.
They were there encouraging them.
No, the example you
to do.
Your guys have always given this.
But did we lose Priscilla Holy Valley or not?
I'm saying that you could have.
Did we lose it or not?
Reasons.
No.
Right.
That is a conjecture.
Is Galamsey in Ashanti region?
That is a conjecture.
No, it's Galamsey in Ashanti region.
I am talking about.
But you never lost any seat in Ashanti region.
I am talking about.
In the Eastern
I am
region.
talking about
you never
the Western
lost any
region.
Eastern
I am
because
talking
of
about the Western region. And I tell you that we lost Pristia Huni Valley or not. We did.
And so you lost it because of Galamsey.
We could have maintained it. And I said so by backing what I'm saying with the fact that the NDC were in the bush, which you know.
No, they were in the bush.
Were there encouraging them.
At Pristia Huni Valley.
They were in the bush encouraging them to do what? To go ahead and continue doing Galamsey. And that is a fact. Even now, they are telling us that people that we will prosecute, people that we will arrest, when they come, they will give them amnesty. Yeah, so today, if you do that, the person will say, okay, let them arrest me. And I will go and vote against them. When they come, they will give me amnesty.
The
So
other
how do we
point-
win
I get
the
a
fight
point.
against Galamsey?
So the other part of that discussion is that of course, I know what you're talking about. I mean, Mahama has said some things and a few other.
He didn't even say what he was saying.
But
He
the,
knows
the,
it.
the other point,
No, that's what he said. I'm afraid.
The
I have the
other point,
video.
the other point he made was that it's the young boys and girls
Yes.
involved in the menace who are picked up, arrested, and jailed.
Yes.
But the kingpins,
Yes.
the guys who sponsor them to be there, the owners of the concession, they are left off the hook because he alleged they are political persons associated with the MPP.
So-
and truly, we've
so-
not really heard of any big person owning concession or maybe illegally mining who has been arrested. Case in point, Akunta was doing an illegal thing, but Akunta mining is still there. The boss is still there.
Salom, the former president is a citizen of Ghana. You are a citizen. Fred is a citizen. Crime has no expiry date, right? As a citizen of Ghana, if you identify a kingpin that you believe that you can go through the legal process and get the person put under bars, why not?
So they mentioned Wuntu me.
Why not go? Go to the court.
No, they can't go to court.
But the point is, can you take up this matter? I'm not a lawyer,
Of course,
so
I
you
appreciate
forgive
that.
me.
I appreciate that, yes.
But you as a citizen can report that matter.
Yes, but it's been
Kind of.
reported many times. In
Can-
fact, the media coalition against Galamsey, headed by Engineer Kenashigbe and a few others, and even Martin, people have reported the matter to the CID. It's taking a long time, and there's no progress on that. What that presupposes is that the state is not interested in pushing that particular matter.
Salom, we have several cases that are not even in Galamsey areas where the CID is investigating it for more than years, multiples of years now. Right? So it is not the case that the state is not interested. Perhaps the CID is doing investigation. They cannot go to court just because somebody has come to report a matter. Remember, we are in a legal system. We are in a legal system where you need to be very careful of the cases you go to court with.
That's right.
So if the state, through the CID, is doing investigation on a reported matter, and you say they are not interested, then I stand to disagree. Because you must do investigation. You can't go to court and then just because you've heard so and so. Look at how the NDC went to court because of the election petition. Because we went to court in 2013. Because we went to court in 2013, they also went to court. So when they went to court, they didn't go with evidence.
I see.
They could not even produce a result.
Let me give you some evidence. Let me give you some
They
evidence.
could not produce any results.
Let me give you some evidence.
On the election petition?
No. On the NDC matter. On 4th January 2023, citynewsroom.com, Akunta mining not engaged in illegal mining. Akufo-Addo. Let me give you a direct quote. It says, I want to assure you all that Akunta mining is not engaged in any form of illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak. And is the
As we speak
part of it that is very instructive.
At that time,
Yeah, at the time he was speaking,
They will not stop.
so and that will make the reportage accurate.
What happened to what they did before? And indeed, he was speaking at the 28th National and 16th Biennial Congress of the National Union of Ghana Catholic Diocesan Priest Association in Koforidua. So
So you know the president is a lawyer.
No, of course.
And
he's a
when
lawyer.
he said, as I speak,
Yep.
at the time,
Yes.
at the material time
Yes.
he was speaking, Akunta Mine was not engaged
Very well.
in an illegality.
Very well.
And he was
Let-
very specific.
Yes,
he
but
did not
my
speak.
point is, what
he
has
did not
happened
speak
to them
he didn't,
when they were involved in it?
he didn't speak in an extensive date.
Very well.
He spoke in a specific date.
That's been thrown to you. It's been thrown to you. You're a lawyer, so.
In fact, that's.
But he's a lawyer, but tainted politically. So you
no,
you have to
no,
just speak.
no,
Yes.
politically.
No, you are saying when you say that, the public will be
Listen,
saying that
listen.
he's going to speak from the point of the law.
Listen.
Yeah,
Baba, are you
he's
tainted
a
because? Are you tainted because you are?
I'm a politician.
Yeah, and does that taint you?
So
Should
you have
that-
also become a
No,
politician.
but
You
should that
can be
taint you?
biased. Yeah, you can be biased. Yes.
But you see,
He's
brother,
speaking the law,
you
and
see,
the people, the listeners are discerning.
About,
see,
you see,
the
when,
fact that-
when the other lawyer was speaking, you know, he went straight on to pick the matters. When he started speaking,
who
you
do
know
that?
the way.
Who do
So
that?
there's
Who do
always
that?
bias in the manner you
No,
speak.
no,
So I just want people to know
everybody-
he's a lawyer,
Listen.
but he's with the movement.
No, but-
So he's going to speak the mind of the
Oh,
movement.
how now why? You see,
So,
you see,
let me hear you.
the fact that you're a politician doesn't mean that
You must lie all the time.
or you must dislike your country. Because the only reason why you do politics is because you think you have something that can enhance the country. Now, you can't talk about Galamsey without making reference to Professor Frimpong Boateng's report.
Right.
You understand? Now, in that report, in Prof. Frimpong Boateng's report, he claimed that the fight against Galamsey failed because of a number of reasons. And contrary to what they claim, and that in the contrary, the reason why they lost certain seats within the mining areas was not because of their fight against Galamsey, but it's because the people felt that they are looked on for the perpetrators of Galamsey to impact the livelihoods of the people in those regions. Because they are farmers, they deal with the land, and because of Galamsey, they were losing their livelihoods. Now, Prof. Frimpong Boateng said clearly that in 2018, Prof. Frimpong Boateng, in the presence of Sir John, told the president that Sir John is the biggest threat to our environment. Why? Because he sat down aloof and allowed people to be mining in our forest reserves. He went ahead to give the president a list of people, MPP apparatchiks, who were involved in Galamsey. What did the president do?
That's it.
What did the president do? Now, you see, this president and your party are all about doing something to represent something. I heard him say that because the president gives some regulations, there are laws, and so because of that, he fought Galamsey. Come on. There's a reason why we give the president executive powers. There's a reason why we give the president the powers to enforce the law. Because the reason why, indeed, if I extend this argument and then go into the philosophy of government, into Thomas Hobbes' books, the book, The Levanthian, why there was a need for us, the people, to cede some of our authority to government, is simply for the person we cede our powers to, you understand, to use the powers we've granted him so that all of our rights will be protected. So we cede those powers to you, the president. In fact, we went further to create in you a trust. We didn't stop there. We then taxed Parliament to enact laws to create the Mineral Commission, to create the Forestry Commission, to create EPA, all with the focus of helping you, the president, to undertake the tax we gave you under Article 257 of our Constitution. But he slept. Because, you see, when he came in 2017 and said he was fighting Galamsey, I can't say, in fact, I'm fortified in my belief that he was just latching on the fight the media had already picked against Galamsey to gain some popularity. But there was absolutely no commitment. No commitment.
You set up the interministerial.
In fact, now, if you're president, and you have that passion, why didn't you use those powers to rather enhance the institutions already in place? Because if he's saying that it's a long-term fight, then that interministerial committee thing won't help. Rather, enhance the powers of the institutions created under the law.
But that's what
when you were speaking, I didn't agree with everything, so I didn't interject.
I
don't do my
I'll outline the number of we have done.
Yes. Because you see, you are president. Fortunately, the Constitution has mandated certain bodies to manage, help you, the president, to undertake your tax under the Constitution. One being the Minerals Commission. Now, if you read Prof. Frimpong Boateng's report, one of the key problems they identified as to why Galamsey was succeeding was because of the weakness within those institutions. Now, if you're president and you have a genuine desire to fight and manage our natural resources, why wouldn't you rather enhance those institutions? You understand? Because within the institution is an inspectorate division. And it is decentralized. So in every district, there is a committee that's supposed to manage their resources under the law. You understand? Now, and there's also an inspectorate division. Now, the problem is that they do not have the logistics. They are practically in a position where they cannot do their jobs. So instead of creating a parallel institution of politicians who don't even understand the issues, who don't even understand, because you see, when Galamsey started, so when you go to a typical properly mining area, there's what we call tailings dam. So when they mine the gold, because they can't take all the gold, they keep, let's say, the surplus in a tailings dam. And that's how Galamsey started. Now, Galamsey went haywire because of the failure of government. People they grant licenses to because of the weakness in Minerals Commission. So, like in the Kuntam mine issue, they gave him a prospecting license, not a mining license. You understand? Now, if we had proper institutions, then and who were doing proper inspection and monitoring, then there was no way Akonta Mine could have used a prospecting license to mine, to do proper.
The Akonta Mining example, I don't know if it's a good one, because the personality of the people, the personality of the company, and the one behind it is huge. So even if the expectorate identified that, it would have been difficult to stop them.
No.
Because of the personality.
No, and that's why government in this country is failing. Not just about people in NDC. That's why we need change, because we have
the movement must.
No, that's why we need change, because we are all equal under the law. We are all equal under the law. We are all under the law. Even the president is under the law. Sure. So if we say that because of Wuntumi, who is Chairman Wuntumi? Why can't you prosecute Chairman Wuntumi? Because you see, the president would have sorted this problem if he had the coyones, the balls. You understand? To pick on Chairman Wuntumi. Because then they like we all agree, what Chairman Wuntumi is doing has the potential not just to affect us. It has the potential also to affect generations after us. And so, where we have given you powers, we didn't give Chairman Wuntumi the powers. We didn't give Haruna the powers. We didn't give MPP the powers. We gave you, the president, those powers. We created the trust in the president. And we've given you those powers, and you say because it's Chairman Wuntumi, you can't cause his arrest.
He didn't say that.
I'm saying, no. I understand. Yeah. But clearly, if because of his personality, the mineral people in the Minerals Commission are even afraid to apply the law, then there's a fundamental weakness in our system, which calls on all of us to look at the president. Because there's a reason we gave him the powers. We just didn't give the powers because he's a Musanza man.
How about the CID? The matter is before the CID. And the CID, we've not heard much.
You see, and that's what I'm saying. But you see, you the president, you understand? How have you created that culture within our police to make them believe that, listen, you have the powers under the law to investigate and prosecute all manner of persons in this country? But like the politicians are saying that they know how they manipulate the police. So you see, there's a fundamental problem with the system we are running. People we give our powers to are using those powers in a manner which is adverse to our collective interests. People we give our powers to are using the powers in a manner to advance their own parochial interests. And that's why there is a need for change in this country. How we think, how public positions are handled. Because we give them the powers, but clearly, I'm so concerned about this. They don't work. Clearly, the president doesn't want to work. He slept. In fact, he's gone beyond sleeping. He's in a slumber. You understand? He's in a slumber. He's watched on, and he has irresponsibly caused a situation where, due to no fault of yours, your very life is, because see, the metals they use to cleanse the gold, mercury, lead, cyanide, arsenic.
But he deployed soldiers into the bush. Galamsey, Operation Vanguard. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
I'm saying that per the report. So per the report, it's all to do something to represent something. So the soldiers,
the soldiers to the bush.
Is to represent. So a big fraud has been perpetrated against us.
By
the president. I'm not. A massive fraud has been perpetrated against the people of Ghana. So the soldiers, they didn't see Akonta mines. The soldiers, they didn't see all those mining companies being owned by the MPP people. Because I understand that there are so many people who are even non-political undertaking the illegality of Galamsey. But you agree with me that if the soldiers, the police, had the coyones to arrest the MPP people, the MPP people, the MPs, and engage in Galamsey, Prof. Mpompwante's report, if you had the balls, I bet you the NDC people also engage in Galamsey. You understand? And you see, there's an extent to which we should play partisanship with this issue. Because see, at the end of the day, yes, because of the kind of political culture we want to create, partisanship at a certain level should be encouraged. But when you've done your partisanship and you have the power, you should understand that your responsibility is to the people of Ghana, not your partisan coloring. And that's where, so, you see, Haruna, he's struggling. But clearly, my view is that he's struggling. He can tell me I'm also struggling. I don't care. But you see, the fact is, Nana Akufo-Addo has slept on his job. He's breached the oath he took. Because you see, beyond the trust created in Article 257, he took an oath. He said he was going to be faithful to Ghana. Now that meant that he was going to be faithful to his obligations under the Constitution. He was going to be faithful to the trust, to the obligations placed on him as a result of the trust. But clearly he's breached that. He's breached that, and for us, the repository of sovereign power, to ensure that this crime does not ever happen to us, we need, I know he has like 70 or about about 100 days more. I don't know, about some few days more. But I think we ought to call on the president either to resign, I know he will resign, but to impeach him. Because the extent of the...
And you think that this parliament can impeach him?
You see, so you all go to America. Andrew Johnson was impeached. They didn't succeed, but at least it's on record. Donald Trump was impeached. Clinton, you understand? Steps were taken, which would tell posterity that when we grant you powers, which really are not yours, when we grant you powers for a certain purpose, and you use those powers, because that's the biggest threat to our democracy, that when you've given people powers, whether or not they're going to use the powers to advance our collective agenda. But when we've granted them powers and they've used those powers to perpetuate their parochial agenda or to perpetuate an agenda which is actually adverse to our common agenda, then there must be some punishment.
But I'm not sure if he's using the power to perpetuate an agenda adverse to our collective cause.
Oh, yes.
How do you... There's a menace. And indeed, Galamsey existed before he came. All right? Galamsey existed before he came. He's fighting it. Haruna says it's a process, not an event. And he's deployed a number of things, tools to fight it. And I've talked about the Interministerial Committee, talked about Galam Stop, Vanguard. We now have an ad hoc committee to deal with that. We know about community mining. Things are ongoing. So the fact that it hasn't ended doesn't mean that there's an agenda he's advancing to perpetuate crime or fraud against the people.
Because now, with all the things he said, he's claimed. If there's one thing that we all agree, that Galamsey has even gotten worse than when he purportedly began the fight. Now, the Interministerial Committee he created, a report was granted him, which told him that the people you've put on the committee, not only are they not even coming from meetings, majority of them are involved in Galamsey. Yeah, you understand? Now, the only reason why we got wind of that report was not because the president acted on it. The president had the report for 2 years. He sat on it. He slept. He slept on the report. We only got wind of that report because it was leaked. Now, with everything that has happened, the fact that people very close to the president are involved in Galamsey, to the extent that fingers were pointed at people within the inner circle of the president. Now, has the president gathered the courage to use the powers we granted him? Has he, against any of those people? What other conclusion
told us at the bar conference that about 857 matters were in court in respect of Galamsey, and over 170 or something convictions have been secured. That is progress.
You see, that is, in fact,
that's progress.
That is doing something to represent something, and that's really? Actually doing. Oh, come on,
about 800 cases.
Yes, doing something to represent something. These people, Jomama, not that I agree with that position, is telling us that they go after the small fishes. Tell us how many of the owners of the Galamsey size?
They are in court.
How many? He should tell us. Because at the back office, he didn't tell us.
He said
800 what?
And then about 100
okay, so why is Chamawoon to me not? Is Chamawoon to me in court?
Why is Chamawoon to me?
Why? And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Council,
if you allow him, you will continue to be. Because Chamawoon to me is a citizen of this country. He has the right to mine. He has the right to license. Yes, he has the right to mine. He has the right to license. He has no right to mine irresponsible. So he cannot. If you give him the time, he will be talking.
Yes,
anyway, I will wait. I will wait for my time.
No Ghanaian, including Chamawoon, has a right to mine unless you've been granted a concession. You should get that straight. You've been granted a mining concession, not a prospective concession. It's Chamawoon to me in. That's why I keep on saying that they are just doing something to represent something, because they don't want to pretend that they're fighting, but really, per the impacts, unfortunately for them, where you do not fight against Galamsey, we all see the impact. The impact is right now are struggling to find water. The impact is Ghana being at a stage where right now we have climatic change issues, and because of that, they are saying that famine will come. The impact is government now begging Parliament that let me dip my hands into the contingency fund, because if I do not do that, we will have food insecurity.
Very well.
And that's why I'm saying that the president has not only has he slept, he's in a deep slumber.
Very well.
In the obligations we granted him.
We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll do the final round. We'll take, of course, Fred will speak, and then we'll take what we can do to help the situation. Others want state of emergency, the revocation of LI 2462, etc. We'll see what Haruna has to say. We'll see what Fred has to say. We'll see what Andrew also has to say. Don't go away. This is a big issue. All right, welcome back. This is a big issue. Final lap of this leg of the discussion. Fred Agbenyu of the NDC, parliamentary candidate for the Guan constituency, is here to have his take on the matters. I mean, he's had a take on this round. So the point is that whilst government was seriously fighting Galamsey, some of your people were in the bush encouraging them that go ahead, the people want to stop you. And things, if you come, you don't worry, you eat and those things. And that the people they are arresting are small boys. Where are the big people? When we come, we'll give you amnesty. They say that comments like that embolden the bad people doing the thing to continue degrading our environment. What do you say to that?
You see, I was scandalized listening to my brother Aruna as he made a submission of this particular subject. How you have been in power for almost 8 years. You know, you have barely 3 months to go clean off your 8 years. And if you have not been able to fight Galamsey, you think the person to blame is NDC functionaries. How irresponsible can we be? You know, we have given you all the authority and the power as a president, because we all reckon that individually we cannot fight, we cannot solve our own problems. And that is why we have put all our powers together and given it to you as one person. We have given you all the research that you need, we have given you all the security that you need, that go in there and fight on our behalf. And as been described or said over here, you've been snoring, you've forgotten that you have a responsibility. And now when people are calling you out to come and account for your stewardship, all you can say is that it's the NDC people who are creating the problem. Why? All we are saying, and I'll continue to say that, and it's a position all of us must agree to. We were in this country when Asha, one or whatever they call this Chinese lady, came into this country and was heavily involved in Galamsey activities. Once she was arrested, the president's right-hand man, former senior minister, I don't know what his title is today at the presidency.
He's a senior advisor.
Senior advisor, now from senior minister to senior advisor. So the man who's advised the president works with tells us, what is the point in arresting Aisha One? What are we going to gain as a country? When the Chinese are doing us so much good, they are giving us so much money. Allow her to go. Can any Ghanaian, Salon, go to China and attempt or even imagine, guess, of doing anything like that and return back to this country? And yet your senior minister said, leave him, let him go. As has been pointed out, Professor Frimpong Boaten's report that was leaked out, that the president didn't even want us to know and even see, that he kept for over 2 years when it was leaked out. All the persons who are involved in the Galamsey, the big, do you know the cost of one excavator? So you think that these boys who they've been running up and going and put in police cells can buy an excavator? The people who are the beneficiaries, the kingpins of Galamsey, they live in Accra, they live in the Flagstaff House. They live in the ministries, departments, and agencies, we all know. And the president knows all of them, he knows. He cannot say he doesn't know. Because if he doesn't know, Professor Frimpong Boateng has given him all the names. And yet the man will not do anything about it, because it's benefiting him. Some people are even alleged that maybe he even has shares in some of these companies. Or people are fronting for him. That is why they listen. He's the first to move in to go and defend them. When the president made that statement, that is ready to put his presidency on the line and make sure that we fight this Galamsey, he said it just in jest. He didn't mean it. It was written for him. The president is a specialist when it comes to crafting statements that, oh, I know how to save lives, but I know how to bring economy back, but I know how to save. He knows how to say those things. And everybody will applaud him for it. But does he really mean it? Is he really interested in implementing the things he says? No, he's not. He hasn't shown any commitment. Even before Professor Boateng's report was leaked out, we heard a video and an audio and a banter between Professor Boateng and some of the MP functionaries when Professor Boateng himself said that the party is looking for money. The MP party is broke, they are looking for money.
Was he the one who said that?
The two of them were having the communication. He said that he still said it, or from one of them said it. The tape is available, you can play it right now. That the party needs money. So when I say that what is going on is state-sponsored, the party sanctioned it, the president approves on it, you must agree with me, because there's evidence to that effect, that they said because the party needs money, let's open the floodgates. We all agree, Salom, in this country, that mining has been with us only God knows how long. People have been involved in what we call Galamsey for all these years, but they have not destroyed water bodies like we are seeing today. What is happening now is not the Galamsey boys who use pickers and shovels and to go and dig. It is a person who have introduced the earth-moving equipment, the chamfans and the rest, who are mining in the forest reserves and the water bodies, who are creating the menace that we are all seeing today. And I am saying that this one is state-sponsored. But what is Adrian saying? That because the president has issued over 1,500 licenses, so it means that the president is interested in the right thing. Are you for real? What is the difference between the operations of the small-scale miners and the so-called Galamseyers? The persons who are creating problems for this country today are the so-called small-scale miners. And as he rightly said, some of them are only giving licenses to go and do prospecting. The next moment, they move into the excavator, and they are working. And the body that gave them the land to go and do prospecting is sleeping and watching. Well, we know in this same country, when the same Minerals Commission came out to tell us that Wontumi is operating illegally, and yet Mr. President, as we have read to him, that he didn't want to accept, stood before the Catholic bishop and the rest in Kofrodo, his home region. His hometown that once upon a time was described as the headquarters of Galamsey, and the head broke loose. And told them in the face that, listen, as far as he's speaking at this very moment, Wontumi is not involved in illegality. So if Wontumi has been involved in an illegality in the past, and is not doing it right now, so we shouldn't talk about it. Meanwhile, there's evidence today as we speak that the man is still mining illegally, to the extent that he and one of the major mining companies had a confrontation that he had entered into that concession. Remember that case? They had entered into that concession that was given to them. So we know what is happening. And let nobody from MPP again come on radio and TV to tell us that they fought Galamsey in 2020, and as a result, they lost some parliamentary seats. That is not true. Palpable falsehood. Because you can check the data of the seats that they lost. Majority of the seats they lost has nothing to do with Galamsey. The seats they lost in Accra, from Adenta to Madina to Lejokuku to what have you, nobody is doing mining in those areas. As a matter of fact, Ashanti region, we know they are doing mining in Ashanti region. NPP won all their seats in Ashanti region, and we won only 4 seats. The Presia Uni Valley seat that they are talking about, that seat has been a swing seat since time immemorial. NDT held that seat for a number of times. We lost it, you took it over. So the losing of that seat has nothing to do with Galamsey. You are suggesting that the people who live in these Galamsey areas, they are happy with the Galamsey. And so they want government to allow them to do Galamsey. And so when government comes to stop it, then they are angry and then they vote against government. Is that what you are saying? So when the people are saying that their livelihood has been taken away from them, all the cocoa farms are gone, their water bodies are gone, everything is gone. And you see, Selo, before you come in, this whole argument, when issues like this come up that, oh, don't politicize it. Let's look at it from a nationalistic perspective. For me, it doesn't make sense to me 1 minute. Because if it's nationalistic perspective that you are looking out for, you especially City FM, the war that you picked up against this Galamsey since 2017, it's not a joke, everybody knows it. The number of civil society organizations that have spoken against Galamsey, the number of chiefs that have spoken against Galamsey, the pastors and everybody, and one man who has the power and authority to act has refused to act. One man. My brother sitting here, can he go and command the police commander to move in there? Were we not here recently when we had the Western Regional Minister right in his presence, and then the parliamentary candidate for one of the causes in the Western region, virtually instigating and inciting the guys to beat the military up? Look at even what the military high command did. Instead of you to call out this person, they went and issued a general statement trying to rationalize everything. And I was so sad that these are the people we call our senior police commanders and military commanders in this country. Somebody is engaging. Meanwhile, one of your officers has been murdered as a result of this same Galamsey issue. And yet, why? Was Major Mama not murdered?
I mean, he was killed by Galamsey, yes.
Well, you know, Major Mama. What are you saying?
I mean, but we know why he was there. He was
the
there.
people convicted of doing Galamsey, those who killed him.
He went there.
He went there, fine. And then he was killed, but it was not established that.
It's a sad event.
It's a sad event. So that's why I don't want him to go there.
They went there to fight Galamsey.
Yes.
They went there to fight
fine,
but
he lost his life. That is it.
So
but not Galamsey killed him.
That's the point. He lost his life on the battleground.
Yes.
All right.
So Major,
I want to move it forward.
Then, before we move forward, Then now you have a parliamentary candidate in the presence of a regional minister, now instigating the guys to go and attack military people again. And all the military command could do is to issue a general statement.
But the military command, what should they do? They should arrest him. They couldn't arrest him.
Why?
So
By now, the president should have even fired his regional minister. That parliamentary candidate should have been stopped from even contesting the elections. But when you don't act, when you don't do anything, it's as though you are encouraging this are going on. They wait for that to tell us that all the Galamsey stop or whatever they have withdrawn the people. So please go ahead and do the mining.
So Fred,
NPP,
what's the way forward? What should we do to bring
the way forward is to impeach President Akufo-Addo today.
Oh, you're also joining Frantos.
The man has let this country down.
It's under Federal call.
President Akufo-Addo, nobody will remember him kindly in this country. Nobody will remember the name Akufo-Addo kindly in this country.
Fresh HS is a good one.
Oh, Jesus
anyway,
Christ.
Just go ahead.
You don't want to take me there. There's nobody will remember him kindly in this country. I wish we never had him as a president. But the Lord God in heaven just wanted to show Ghanaians a lesson. And that is why he brought this man on us. And look at what the mess he has created everywhere.
One, he said to impeach the president. Number two,
we should impeach the president. People have set time with that now. You see, me, I'm even getting fatigued. How many people have you not had several people have said that? Let's place a complete ban on this mining activities for now. And then restructure the step. They said no. When you they'll tell you that mining is contributing about 6% of our GDP. But do you know the effect of mining on our GDP? That one you are not looking at it. You are looking about the monetary term that is coming. So if it gives you 6% in terms of your GDP, and then you go and spend about 20-30% of your GDP to try and resolve the problem of the mining, what have you gained? Very well.
All right, so that's Fred Agbenyo, PC for the Guam constituency. Your constituency, that appears that you are in parliament already, right? Or it's not like that?
No, his place, a decision was taken at the party headquarters, right?
That was.
Your place was a tie or where?
No, it wasn't a tie.
I went to a competition.
No, was it not a place?
It's not
Oh, okay.
So he went to the election.
Okay.
All right, so Haruna,
yes.
How do we make progress? 2 minutes.
All right. Before I
part of the 2 minutes.
Yeah, part of the 2 minutes.
Okay.
You see, you have a former.
Just a second. Where are the drones that they brought in?
No, he will answer.
In the name of Galamsey.
He will answer.
With the taxpayers, where are the drones?
In 2 minutes. So go ahead.
Are you asking for drones that will look for naked pictures? Because that is how you people think. Are you looking for that?
Can you imagine?
I didn't hear that.
Because that's what the National Women Organization said, that if you bring in drones, it will be taking people's naked pictures. When a drone is used to find help delivery system. So you see, we have a former president who wants to be president again, who had the power to insist on activities to be able to prevent this menace, telling us that our fight against Galamsey is that for him, when he comes, he will give them amnesty. That person is not stopped as a flag bearer. You people should have changed him. He's telling us that all the arrests, all the prosecutions we are doing, when he comes, there is no plan for him to do anything. Is to give them amnesty and allow them.
Go after the big boys.
No, he will give them amnesty to continue to do that. And when you ask him what they are going to do, he tells you that for them, what they think is that they should impeach the president. That is all. That is their policy.
No, that's
for me.
That's
for me. No, he said not Afro-Franto.
No,
they all said the same thing. They all said the same thing. I will tell you what Dr. Baumia. That is, I will tell you what Dr. Baumia will seek to do. Dr. Baumia
should do it today.
Dr. Baumia.
He said he wants to empower the Ghana geological survey to. But he can
that he should do it today.
Yes.
That's the vice president has the power.
No, but if it's a good idea, the president will
saying,
agree.
Yeah,
the president
he will only make a suggestion to the president.
Yeah, but if it's a good one, the president will agree.
It's not every topic that you suggest to your producer that you discuss on the issue, right?
I'm saying that if it's a good one, my producer will agree.
So if it is something, if it is
my producer will agree.
You will pick those that he wants because he also exercises his discretion.
No, but if it's good,
right.
If it's
so
good,
Dr. Baumia is telling you that. He's telling you
take it.
The two of you should listen because you are just saying that the answer to Galamsey is to impeach Akufo.
No,
so let me tell you, Dr. Baumia is saying that we have to establish the Mineral Development Bank to support small-scale mining and indigenous mining firms. We would also be looking at establishing common user gold processing units in key mining districts. We have outlined a number of things. Once we continue to regularize this particular system, we are going to put in measures that will make sure that climate change is not deeply affected. We are going to make sure that we will reclaim some of these
Master,
particular
you are
land,
do the
degraded
thing
land.
now.
No, you
We
see,
are
you
going
are
to-
given
we
the
are going to-
opportunity. You are given the opportunity. So, you know, and the City platform, ChannelOne platform, is a platform that is for record. And I know that discerning Ghanaians are listening to us. So, we have had John Mahama as president. And Galamsey was staring in our face. And he had the power, the constitutional power, to exercise discretion, to exercise power. We have not had Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as president. He has never had a constitutional power to exercise his discretion to ensure he fights Galamsey. Give Dr. Bawumia that opportunity, and I am assuring you, Selom, that Dr. Bawumia will tackle Galamsey head on to ensure that we allow the young people, we allow the pro-poor, we allow people who will be able to do it better, we allow gold to take over to ensure that we are able to build our reserves through this particular mining system.
But that's in the future, right?
Akubo
But
will be weeping.
right now,
That is why the election is for the future.
Yes.
Bawumia stands for the future.
But
And John
this
Mahama
business
stands.
The election is in the future. But today, the water bodies and everything is struggling. Do we wait and die before the election? What can we do today to ensure that the problem is resolved so that maybe there will be no huge problem for Bawumia to solve should he become president in January 2024?
Selom, the whole issue about this Galamsey is attitudinal.
So how are we solving
That is
the
why
problem,
I am saying,
problem?
because this current government has made sure that we have established over 30 community mining schemes where we have been able to employ over 100,000
but
of
Haruna,
Ghanaian
the point is that
no, we have put in measures.
notwithstanding all of that, the problem is still festering.
Yes.
So do you agree that a state of emergency be declared in the areas? Stop mining on river banks of river bodies and on river bodies.
I don't have the security expertise to determine at
No,
what
but
point
is it a
that
good point? Assuming the security people say it's good.
I need to
assuming
check.
the security people say it's a good thing, will you encourage your president to go along that route?
Assuming the security, he is the head of the security, so he would know it.
And so he's not doing it. So
if
it means
it is
that's not a good
appropriate, if it is appropriate, the security will advise him.
People think that you are buying time.
It's
You want the
people.
election to
People
come.
are put in trust to check and to ensure if it is necessary.
But they have a boss.
The people, yes, the people will address it to the boss. And none of this has come to him that there is that need for state of
But you see,
emergency.
there are other people who may not.
That is
be
their
in
opinion,
power.
because
Who
their
may not
opinion
be
is
in
exercised
power,
in the
but they are
Constitution of the
also
Republic.
experts.
Yes.
They also think.
Yes, your
just that they've not
expertise-
had the privilege of being appointed.
Is it-
But they know things. And in fact, these appointed guys go to them as technical people to advise them. All right, not all those guys put in position are technical people. Some of them are politicians placed there, and they take advice from the technical people. The technical people are saying that place a ban on mining in river bodies and on river banks. Stop the mining in forest reserve, because these are the places that a lot of the rivers take their sources. All of these have been mentioned. Yeah.
You know, there's already a ban on something that is illegal. How
Yeah,
do you put a ban?
in river,
This is illegal.
but it's not illegal
already-
now to mine in some reserves.
It's illegal.
It's not illegal now to mine in some reserves.
I cannot
Because of the
say
LI.
because I don't. Yes. So there is, once it is illegal, it is illegal.
But why
An
can't we
expert-
enforce it?
an
then?
expert-
Why can't we stop it then?
We are enforcing it. There are
People-
teams
today,
that is
today,
been put
if you
together.
go into the
There are
areas-
teams that is put together. Johari's windows will always tell you that you have your blind side, you have the side you
So
see,
these are
the
the
side you
blind
don't
sides.
see. People will always go, why is the security there to fight crime? If we know that the system is perfect.
In one of the areas, the Galamsey zone is just closed by a police station, but they can't do anything.
But
because
if,
they
they
are
are,
afraid.
if the police has not on Hansard get to understand and appreciate the work that they do, if the police sees an illegality in something, they will exercise their responsibility
Very well.
as security
We
agents.
need to
And
be-
then, Selom, you know, he was saying that the president has to prosecute. The president is not a prosecution body. Right? We all know.
This is enforced.
We're talking about enforcement.
Yeah, so
President-
even enforcement, it's a security agencies that do
But the
enforcement.
president has
No,
a
but you
Minister of
know,
Interior.
it is there. Yeah.
Minister
So
of
that is
Interior.
it. So we call on the bodies, but you said that the
But if the
president has to.
president- no,
so
because
the
the boss
president
comes to
should
the president.
should capriciously come out and
No,
start
if
enforcing.
the
Start,
minister
no,
he has appointed is not doing his job, he needs to call him out.
But they work through him.
Anyway.
Yes, they work through him.
All right,
But so
let
it should not be. You see,
talk.
if there is any politician in this country who has slept on his job more, it's Alan Kojo Chirmantin. I don't want to go into it. If there is the topic, if there is that
Okay,
time for us to discuss,
We'll
I will tell you.
We'll get the
yeah,
topic,
so
Alan Tremanti
yes,
and the big job
yes,
in 2025.
yes. If there is any politician, if there is any politician who has slept on his job,
yes, that's
who has slept on his job in this country, no, the vice president is to assist. Is to assist the president.
I see.
So,
Anyway.
and you know, the two of you are lawyers.
Very well.
We are just the same. We are living. So you know that the vice president's work is
Very
not
well.
that specific.
Let
It's to assist
me
the
go to
president.
let me go to the legal expert then. The one who knows.
In fact,
Who is politically tainted? So I don't have problem. Learned and politically biased.
All right, learned colleague.
You see,
So tell me, what should we do in 2 minutes?
in fact, I've been following CTFM and I support your call. Immediately, there should be a ban on small, as in the areas where, at least to give nature the chance to heal. That should be the first call. So we stop. If it means a state of emergency in those areas to ensure that no mining is done in those areas, it has to be done. So you will stop it first. Allow nature itself to heal. Secondly, there's a reason why you do not mine in river bodies and in forest reserves. I think it's very irresponsible for anybody to purport to grant people authority to mine in. That LI must be repealed immediately. Immediately, it must be repealed. Now, when we've done this, then we must then have an audit of the regime, the current regime, because the current regime starts with a trust being created in the president. I believe that, or we believe that that's the movement. That if we find a way of getting the local community to be part of the regime, then it will be easier for us to enforce them, because the problem really is one of leadership. Now, and I'm sure you would understand better. You know, our regime is very interesting. You claim that the lands belongs to, most of the time, the chiefs or to far from, and yet, in spite of the ordinary definition of what land is, meaning your interest in the land all the way to hell and all the way to heaven, we are in Ghana. We are saying that if there's any natural resource in the land, then that one it belongs to the people of Ghana and the president. We believe that that trust should not only be created in the president, but it should also be created in the chiefs within the areas in which the land.
But that'll be a root and branch amendment of the position of the law now. And you think doing that is what will help resolve the problem?
No. So I'm talking about we looking at the regime.
Okay.
And so there are a number of things in the regime. So for me, that's the starting point. Secondly, when you go into the Mining Act, the bit that deals with small scale mining, you know, a committee is formed within all the local. Strangely, in that committee, there's no rep from the Forestry Commission.
Because not all areas are forests.
So
you create a position for it, so that when there's a forest, somebody
is there. And then also, another reason why we have is because the state has failed to give institutional support to people who are engaged in the small scale mining. There's no proper institutional support. Now, Movement of Change is saying that government should find a way of granting those institutional support in terms of capacity building and in terms of capital. Because when they have this and then they are mining properly, and Minerals Commission is also strengthened, because we have an inspectorate division which practically cannot do their job. So you strengthen the institutions. And finally, when it comes to the punishment regime for people who have perpetrated Galamsey or who've mined in forest reserves and in river bodies, I think the punishment regime is too lenient. It has to be life imprisonment. It has to be so deterrent. Yeah, because we are saying that it is an existential threat. What it means that the impact of Galamsey can impact on our very existence. Yeah, understand? So that if that's the impact of illegal mining, or and then you perpetrate or you go and mine in forest reserves, because we are saying that Ghana, because of climate change this year, we have food insecurity issues. You understand? And we know that we are having climatic change issues because of the ecological imbalance that Galamsey has created in our forest reserves. You understand? So now the punishment regime must be so serious that people will think twice before venturing into our forest reserves to mine. Now, what punishment can be more serious than a life imprisonment? And then you also train a robust security force. You create a system where admission into the security forces will not be on the basis of your party affiliation. Were you not alarmed when the Minister of Interior claimed that they were going to give 30 slots to MPP party
No, but that was an
It was an accusation.
which he refuted.
You see, listen.
No, but he refuted that.
No, the father refuted. I was when they were campaigning for their parliamentary exam. That was the promise. You can do your own investigation into the armed forces,
said it all over
into
the
the police, into the security agencies, and see the impact or the influence these party people have in their recruitment. You understand? We have to create a system of merit where people go into our security agencies on the basis of merit, not because they are party apparatchiks. And finally, we need to tackle the economy because Galamsey is also an issue of livelihood. You understand? Now, if the government will use its power of fiscal policy to deliberately empower, especially small and medium-scale enterprises, if government will use its power of fiscal policy to aid a radical agricultural revolution, where we move from just subsistence farming to proper commercial farming, then I bet you'd have handled the issue of illegal mining, not just from the economic point of view, but also from the regulatory and from the regime angle, to create a system where all of us, including my brother Haruna, will have the best opportunity in Ghana here.
I already have. I'm a farmer. I have over 300 acres. So I have the best opportunity. Yes, I farm.
To have the best opportunity
maize,
of fulfilling
rice.
our potential in Ghana. We don't have to go to Canada.
You said you're feeling it already.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm a commercial farmer.
Listen.
Yes.
In the kind of environment we have created.
Yeah, I need to progress. Yeah.
But I just need 1 minute.
A commercial farmer.
But if
No, I say it's feeding the economy.
But if we do not tackle the situation, so that your ability to do what will not depend on which party is in power. If you don't create the right economic environment,
it will come back to bite
it will come back to bite you.
Very well. That's Andrew.
So what the NDC is promising is this. That we want to place a ban on new mining activities in forest reserves. President Obama is saying that when we take over, we are going to place a ban on new mining activities in forest reserves. Amend the mineral and mining laws to impose a stiff punishment, like he rightly said, on people who engage in this illegal mining. We want to decentralize regulatory and licensing processes for artisanal miners. We want to implement a tree for life reforestation policy. It doesn't make sense to us that people take excavators to the place to go and mine. You take the
But it's a Green Ghana Day where we plant millions of trees already.
Yeah, but we're planting trees during Hamatans and the rest, and they don't even survive.
You plant the trees in June.
When you plant the trees, then by October, November, December, you go back, they've all bent down. Meanwhile, they give the budget that we spend to plant the trees. It's not a small thing. We need to resort the geological survey department to survey and know exactly where the goals are. So when you are giving a concession to somebody, you know exactly where the gold is. You go there and go and mine. So that the situation where people are just mining all over the place, scavenging all over the place where they get the gold, will be a thing of the past. Of course, resources, we need to put money into it. That we need to assist those who want to go to mining to be able to go to school and go and learn, want to work with the University of Mines, what's the name? Yes, to go and learn properly how to go about the mining and go in there, the bank that facilitate a revenue for them. So it's something that we want to do to solve it. But I think that, like you rightly said, the bottom line in all this whole issue is to create employment opportunity for the people. But you know what? I was doing some survey. Majority of the guys you go and see in the Galamsey areas, Salon, they are other mechanics, they are fitters, they are drivers. They have learned one form of trade or the other. But because those trades are not financially rewarding, they have abandoned those things to go and do mining. So how do we make some of these things very rewarding? We need to come back, look in-house, Ghana. You cannot say, for instance, that you are training your boys and get to become carpenters. And yet when you get the government who is the highest buyer of furniture, goes to import the furniture from abroad and bring to this country.
Can we now you have to stop him? Gabi has not been any. Well, what we are saying?
Government.
Government. No, he didn't mention Gabi.
Why Gabi?
All right, so that's fine.
You mentioned Gabi.
Maybe the way you said it.
I never mentioned Gabi.
When we went on
that, I said government.
So then he says so. You put him on the defensive. So it's okay.
Oh no, I agree. Once he said government,
yeah, it's okay. Then
I said government is the highest buyer of furniture. Instead of government to import all this furniture from abroad, how do we polish this our boys who learn the carpentry and the rest? Those who are from the polytechnic, take them to wherever it is to go and learn the finishing. make sure that government, at least 70-80% of the federal government buys or procures, is procured from these guys. And these guys will get regular job to do, they will get good income, and they will not end up in the Galamsey sites. That's
very
what
well.
I'm making.
Okay.
Great. We'll take a number of your messages. Oh, I thought you also read from your.
Yeah, so you.
I've not read.
You said a few things from your
No,
manifesto.
this
This is. I was not really reading the manifesto.
Because
This is
if you give a chance, you give another chance.
manifesto. This is the manifesto. No, you don't have a manifesto.
No,
They don't have. They don't have.
If I-
You don't have a plan. You don't have a manifesto. Manifesto is a social contract. You don't have. We are the first to launch.
I'm referring to the break. I'm referring to the GTP. In fact, there's a part of the GTP that I like, which is, they call it Cluster 6, the Behavioral and Mindset Change Cluster. I think that's what we all need. And we no, they have a plan. That's their own. So we'll come back. I'll read a number of your messages. Then we'll move on to the Electoral Commission and the NDC. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back to the big issue. Very heated discussion we've had on the Galamsey, the protesters, etc. But I must mention that there is another protest which appears to be brewing for 3rd of October. And this is corollary to what happened on the 21st. And we'll be watching that space carefully, and we'll see how matters play out. So we'll move on to the EC and the NDC. The NDC has been engaging the EC on a number of issues, mainly the voters register. The NDC thinks that the voters register as we have it now is not fit for purpose. The EC says that there's a reason why the law makes provision for exhibition. So that after the drawing or after the exhibition, matters identified are addressed so that we have a good register. The NDC says that the matters they've identified cannot be mere omissions, or they cannot be, they are matters which are deliberate. The transfers of people, people's names deleted from the register, etc., are not mere omissions, and that it is only a forensic audit that can put their minds to rest. The Movement for Change has joined in that call that the register must really be audited. We will look at that. The EC is saying that there are enough provisions under our laws that have not been exhausted. So we must exhaust those avenues first before calling for any forensic audit. That is the matter. But before we delve into that, let me take a few of your messages that you've been sending through. Kennedy Onipa Yede says, the MPP government has failed Ghanaians in their 8 years in office. President Akufo-Addo's type of government is a dictatorship and not democratic. You can't stop Galamseyers, but you are stopping citizens from exercising their democratic rights. Cornelius Asunyani in Bono region says, Salam, thanks for the good works for Mother Ghana. The Deputy Attorney General is backing his minister in government. The Communication and Digitalization Minister should come to our aid to solve the digital channels challenge we are encountering at the Bono region since April to September. Please, Salam, kindly assist us. All right, so Haruna is here. Everybody's listening. I'm sure they will take it. If they don't take it, Fred will take it and make sure they work on it, and that will be a problem for them.
Don't worry, very soon we'll come to power. Which one?
No, they say they have some digital channels challenge at Bono region. Between
by January, work on it.
April and September, they've had problems with the digital challenge. They are calling on the Communications and Digital Minister to come in. All right. Edmond in B Hills says, did the Attorney General really say they need to engage despite wrongdoing, including locking people up and restricting access to lawyers? Some lawyers seem to prioritize policies over justice when their party is in power. This one from Nene Asari from Asuchari says, the police are against the demonstrators because they make lots of money from Galamsey. Well, I don't know this. Whenever the police goes on operations in Galamsey sites, they are given money by the Galamseyers as bribe to extend the police, to the extent that the police giving Galamseyers information on the operations of the military, who arrest them because the military refuses bribe from Galamseyers. I see. In other words, the police are against the demonstrators because when Galamsey stops, the police will not get their bribes again. I see. You said you saw this happening at Achim Ejapoma with your own eyes when you went there for your uncle's funerals. I see.
GC operation.
Mukaila Jones Adia inside Kerry said, isn't it surprising to hear the NDC pundits supporting the inhumane and reckless actions of Vomawo? Are we really sure we are exhibiting due diligence in our democratic dispensation? Indeed, there is no single objectivity in the camp of the NDC, since they appear to support anything that inures to the to the advantage, no matter the consequence. Let's retire Mahama for good. Regards to Ernest Yao Enim Kumawu MP Papa, you say. The MPP rep, please encourage your government to prosecute Akunta Mining, and if he's sentenced to jail, let's call on the next government to grant him amnesty. How hypocritical our politicians can be when it suits them. Good morning, City. MPP rep is turning the truth into national currency, you say. When it was pointed out to him that no one died when the demonstrators blocked the road to 37, he quickly changed to say people could die, also giving false meaning to the difference in number of mining licenses by NDC and MPP. Tell they lost the number of seats in the mining areas because they fought Galamsey, and he is believing that. God help us. This justice in Community 1, Tema. This one from Bentum from Amanfro says, "Hello, I'm disappointed with your panelists. Instead of suggestions to the illegal mining problem in the country, they are playing blame game. What a shame." All right, so that's for it. All right, so let's go to the EC. I start off with you, Fred. Your party made the allegation. Your party sought a meeting with the EC. The EC graciously granted that. You wanted media in there. The EC says no, and the meeting was hard. You did a presentation to the EC. The EC says, okay, now give us the data you have so we can work on it. Your party till date hasn't provided that data. What is the state now of that request from the EC? Is the NDC ever going to make available to the EC the data you had that influenced your conclusion that the role is not fit for purpose?
Well, Salom, if you look across the African continent, if there's one thing that has destroyed nations, it's elections. Almost all the countries where we have experienced civil unrest and what have you is as a result of election outcomes. Everybody across the globe is praising Ghana for how far we have come with our democracy, especially in the Fourth Republic. All the measures we have put in place, all the effort that has been made to bring us this far. And we can only get better, we can only get to build on what we have done so far. And the only way we can achieve that is when all of us come around the table and agree to do the right kind of things. Our election has gone through a lot of reforms, especially in this number of years that have passed. If you look at where we have started from, you know the history of our election up until now, you would appreciate that there's been a lot of reforms, and almost all the reforms that we have experienced normally will come from the political parties through the vehicle that has become known as IPAC, which of course is not a constitutional creation, but by convention has helped for us to be able to bring about the reforms. Political parties are major stakeholders when it comes to elections in this country. If political parties and political actors don't exist, I don't know how the Electoral Commission can exist and function effectively. And if you look at Ghana, where currently we are, it is the case that we have two main political parties, NDC, NPP, and others. And so when we are going for a major elections, like what is ahead of us, and a major political party, arguably the biggest political movement in Ghana, speaks about a concern, it's only fair and proper that persons who have been given the responsibility to manage our electoral issues will pay attention and listen. Now, everything that we do, people's reactions and people's actions and whether people accept a position you have taken or not, is based on some of the perceptions or the way you have posited yourself in time past. The conduct of the current electoral officers, if you sit back and you watch them, quite apart from the utterances that people like Bossman Sari will make and call NDC name, we are a threat to Ghana's peace and whatever it is, clear show of bias, then you have a problem with it. Now, it's not for nothing that the framers of our constitution require of all of us that persons who work within the electoral management system must be persons that we can largely say that they are neutrals, they are fair, they are objective. I agree that everybody will exercise his franchise on election day. Everybody will vote for a party of his choice. There's no two ways about it. But you must, if you work in that setting, then or set up, then you must present yourself in a way and a manner people have confidence in you that you will not tilt in one direction or the other. The current electoral commission chair, Madam Jane Mensah, she didn't just come from nowhere to become the chair of the commission. She was in charge of IEA, right?
Sure.
And if you go on the internet today and you go and read her position on electoral issues, including how the register must be like before you go into an elections, especially in 2015, copiously the things he wrote, the arguments he advanced as to why we must audit our electoral roll. And if today she has become electoral commissioner and we are asking her to do that which she advocated for and think that was the right thing to do for us to have a free and fair elections, and suddenly her position has changed. She no longer sees anything wrong with it. I agree that elections are not events, they are a process. And every stage of the way matters. If you compromise any particular stage, you are likely to have an outcome that will not be acceptable to all. Yes, there's a mechanism in place for us that after you have finished, especially the registration, we'll go in then to the register and make sure we clean up the register, which we call the exhibition. So when exhibition is done, the registers are taken to all the polling stations, and all the potential, electorates are encouraged to go there to go and check if their particulars as captured are appropriately in the register. So normally what you go and do at that place is your name well spelled out, your date of birth, your polling station code, your whatever. You go and check those things. If there are problems, quickly report. At around that time, when we also get there, and then we'll notice that persons who don't belong to that particular branch have their names on the register, concerns are raised for some, corrective measures to be put in place. You remember when we were going for this current exhibition, Electoral Commission issued a directive and says that political parties should not send their agents to the place. Then we said, your officers, oftentimes most of the community, don't even hail from the community. They don't even know anybody. And so how are they able to justify or able to tell that person A or B who is on the roll indeed is qualified to be there or not? And that the persons who can assist...
Sorry, it was for the transfer, not the exhibition.
The transfer. The transfer, how are they able to tell? It took a lot of pressure and engagement before finally they agreed that agents are taken to the place for us to go and work. Now, exhibition, the time the registers were given to the political parties, we started calling for the register long before now, that we have finished the limited registration. Even though in law, you have a time span within which to give the register to us. But to be fair, because the document is becoming bulky by the day, the number of police stations we have now are many. The number of people who are going to vote now, they are close to almost 19 million people, right? And so for us to be able to scrutinize and go to the document, because oftentimes they will give us a hard on a hard drive. We now have to go and download this thing. Yes.
But the point is, we know all of that. Are you giving them the data you have, or you still are holding it close to your chest that if you don't do forensic audit for us to bring it, we won't bring it?
So a person who has not demonstrated enough confidence for you to trust him to be able to work objectively.
How if you give them the data, they will correct it.
So all we are saying is that call the stakeholders who are needed. Bring your IC guys. Let all the parties bring theirs. Let's sit around the table. Whatever concerns we have, let's put it out there. If affronters are concerned, let them bring it out there. Let all of us scrutinize, go through it. And at the end of the day, if there are any corrections to be made, we do the corrections. If there are no corrections, everybody goes back to do his work. How is that too difficult? Why must we necessarily go and give our document to the Electoral Commission alone when we believe that the errors and the challenges that we have seen today were not just clerical errors, they were not just mistakes, but they were deliberately created by actors within the same institution. So if you tell us to go and give them the document, how can we be, what guarantee do we have that they will be able to take the document and work with it, especially when we are not present?
Very well.
And so to conclude on this issue, the stakes are very high. 2024 elections, we have resolved that we are not going to the court. We are not going to do anything. We are going to insist that the will,
if there are issues, how will you resolve the issues?
The will of the people is that we have been told by the Supreme Court.
How will you resolve the issues?
We have been told by the Supreme Court that elections are won at the police station.
But there are disputes at the police station. Where do you
we
go?
have been told by the. That is why this dispute that we anticipate that could happen, we are bringing to the fore now and calling on the referee to come around the table so we have it resolved. And I don't think we are asking for too much. We are not asking for too much. The electoral commissioner, you are not going to use your salary or your family money to do this particular exercise. It is the government of Ghana that is going to pay for it. In any case, all our elections, we always fall on donor nations to help us to do whatever we need to do. So what we are saying is that let's get an independent arbiter to come in, bring your experts. Because already we have concern with even the persons you have in your IT department, because the way they have conducted themselves and the persons they are in society that we know them to be. And so we don't even have confidence that we don't even trust them.
Very well.
And so please come around the table. Let all the parties come. Let all of us put our concerns across. Let's see how we can have it resolved. Are we asking for too much? When we're going for 2016 elections to conclude, and then the MPP, after they let my vote count, did all the things that they needed to do. But then Madam Charlotte, what did he do? A commission was set up. All the parties were invited. Prominent persons led by Justice Krapp. They all listened to everybody. At the end of the day, they came out with their conclusion. And that's how it went to the elections. And so what has changed? That this day, the whole Ghana, I've heard some chiefs are speaking and said that, please yield the call. Let's go for the forensic audit. I've heard other political parties say, civil society organizations. I've heard pastors saying it. The only two institutions in Ghana who says that let the status quo remain, let us do what we want to do, is the New Patriotic Party and the Electoral Commission.
Very
Why
well.
so?
I think you've laid out your points quite well. Andrew, your team, the movement, with a statement signed by Nana Hininto this week, or was it last week, said a similar thing the NDC is saying, that an audit of a form is what will put you matters at rest. Why did you guys come to that conclusion?
Yeah, I think we all agree that the burden on the EC when conducting elections is not just to deliver elections which are free and fair, but to deliver elections which are manifestly seen to be free and fair. Perception here is everything. And then we believe that where there are doubts about the integrity of the register, then it throws that huge obligation on the EC all over the place. Now we saw the letter, the complaints the NEC brought, and then we saw the EC's response. Like the EC agrees that there are as like the political issue and there are other issues where things have been done as in wrongly. Now we believe that to help the EC fulfill that obligation, then we need to enter the elections where all the stakeholders, the political parties, the most important stakeholder, the people of Ghana, believe in the integrity of the register, and not just believe in the integrity, but as that any perception as to the legitimacy of the register is cleared, and that's why we gave as our 5-prong approach. So, you know, when we say forensic audit, you know, it connotes something. So we outlined where we say forensic audit, exactly what we mean. So contrary to the position of the NDC, they are calling for an independent arbiter. We think that a committee ought to be formed, chaired by the EC herself, and then all the
political
parties reps are placed on that committee. Now, then at that committee, we all agree on the processes. And then, like the NDC are making any evidence you have as to any discrepancy in the register, you make it available to everybody, not just the EC, but to all of us. Then together we sit down as a group, go through and ensure that at the end of the day, as soon as possible, in fact, we all give a date, by the 14th of October, a register is delivered, which solves, because then for us, what this process will do is not only to create a register which is legit, but to create a situation where we all believe, every single Ghanaian believes that the register is legit, so that when the elections is done, nobody can come and no matter the results.
So that's what you call the technical working group.
Exactly.
All right, and so yes, so that's fine. You said that you expected the EC to provide a response to your proposal by Friday, 27th September. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Did they respond to you? Do you know that?
So far as I'm concerned, no.
They've not responded.
So far as I'm concerned,
All right.
no.
I'm sure the day before that. So they responded. They responded to the NDC on the 26th.
Yeah.
But they have not responded to you.
Hopefully
yet.
by Monday
you get a response.
Because you see, ideally, I know, but I think the focus of all political actors, you understand, should, I know that we all want power, but ultimately we want a situation where, because at the end of the day, for me, it doesn't matter who wins the election, but whoever wins the election must be somebody who represents the true will of the people of Ghana. Then when that happens, I think that person can easily bring all of us together to pursue that Ghana agenda, and that agenda should not be undermined because people do not trust in the integrity of the register.
I see. All right, sure. Haruna.
Yep.
The accusation is that it's just you and the EC who don't see anything wrong with what everybody else is seeing. Indeed, Kodio and IDEG and the Civic Forum and all those guys have had cause to call on the EC to do something. Why is the MPP not seeing anything wrong with the status quo now?
Salom, thank you. We are not saying that we're not seeing anything wrong. We are just recollecting history. And my brother Fred mentioned how we have gone through electoral reforms. You agree that the MPP has championed most of these particular electoral reforms after we have written the stolen verdict, and also come out to advocate forcefully for a biometric system of a voter register, which the NDC had opposed in all instances. I heard him mention about Jim Mensah's push for some of these things to be done as an IEA chief executive, and he failed to say that they had disagreed with Jim Mensah at that time. The position taken by Jim Mensah was disagreed by the NDC. They said that this particular exercise and call, and you know, the MPP had made that call before for an audit, not a forensic audit. We did not call for external bodies to come. We called for an audit. The NDC General Secretary, now National Chairman, told us that it was an exercise in absurdity. And the former first Vice National Chairman, who later became the chairman of Osampofo, also told us same. And you know, in this country, what we, the MPP, is calling, and the General Secretary was very specific on it. He said, we are challenging the NDC to submit not only to the EC, but the media and general public their so-called evidence of alarming irregularities, discrepancies and manipulations of the provisional register. This is what the MPP called. And Salom, I would point to you, when Justice VCAC Crab led committee or panel was put together to look at some of the concerns that were raised by political parties. In the report, one of this was said, the veracity of the register of voters depends on the honesty of all citizens of Ghana. Honesty. This is a political party that will approbate and reprobate. They don't believe, yes, they don't believe in possibilities. They don't believe in engineering things that will enhance transparency. So today, if they say...
Why do you say that?
Today, I am saying so because we have called for matters that is going to enhance transparency in this country. The NDC vehemently opposed them said, like the call for the biometric register. When we asked that a biometric register should be produced.
But you pushed it through, so now we have the biometric.
But the NDC was against it.
Yeah, so
when we got to 2020, you know, we did what they are doing. We came out through McMahon.
2016?
Yes. 2015. 2015, we came up to the 2020. You know, we called for a whole register to be reproduced, and we came out with evidence. We outlined in picture diagrams.
Yes. The police were on the register.
Yes,
we didn't see that.
We submitted the list. The media had it. We submitted to the Electoral Commission. We submitted it to the Electoral Commission. We have always abided by the rules of the game.
That's not true.
And the CIs are the operative voice. These CIs are matters that it regulate election, regulate registration. And that is why when we speak, we don't speak for the commission. We speak by the CI. And the CI is the one that regulates election. So when you listen to us, you stand to believe that we are speaking for. No, we are speaking because the laws for regulating the elections emanate from the people, which is used by the commission. And that is why we have pointed to it. Their general secretary at that time spoke on this particular matter in terms of an audit. And I quote Salom. He said, the process of deleting deceased persons from the register is the process of exhibition of the register. I'll pause there. When you go into the regulations, Regulation 22 is clear. Compilation of provisional register as provisional what? Register. Regulation 23 talks about exhibition, and Regulation 24 talks about the exhibition officer. And the activities to be executed by the exhibition officer is stated in Regulation 24, which they know. I come back to continue what he said. The main purpose of the exhibition is for us to raise objections to people whose names are there, which ought not to be there. There are forms and the objections to people whose names are there, which ought not to be there. There are forms and the means of processing those objections that would lead to deletion of those names, and it includes the deletion of names of dead people too. So opportunity is given for people to present evidence. Evidence. Evidence here means they should present their data. Because, let's face it, the environment we are operating in, if you say people should go and pinpoint the names of dead people for deletion without any evidence, the key word is evidence. I will go and pinpoint Kobina Japon's name and say he is dead. That was what the General Secretary of the NDC said. So there is process, and you have to do that with evidence. You can't come and tell us that 40,000 people name has been repeated, has not been put on transfer.
But they made a presentation to the EC, and the EC admitted to a few things.
The EC said, bring the data. You can, when you are making,
and they are saying they will
bring
presentation. But let's be around the table.
And now they haven't brought it.
They say,
now,
let's come to the table
let's all call on the NDC. We beg you, for the sake of this democracy. Bring the data, bring the evidence, send it to them. Let us handle it. You see, I heard them.
As we wrap up, Haruna,
yes.
Is it a good idea to call the parties together and the EC around the same table and table this matter and discuss it to its logical conclusion?
It can always be discussed at IPAC.
Yeah, so calling the people to the table, whether I call it IPAC or whatever you call it, they are calling for a technical working group, like we did before.
Yes, I think it's a good thing. We can set at
so
EC, and the EC would have to take the EC. No, but you are asking for an external person to take the data. Yeah, so bring the data. At that meeting, if they don't have the data, we cannot interrogate their matters.
So will you bring the meeting to that, the data?
Yes, bring the data.
Of course.
Yes,
so we agree on that.
And we beg them, don't waste our time, so that we go for a meeting and there is no data. Please, we beg you, because they have done that to the Supreme Court. But Salom, I want to make this point first quickly. They are saying that if the register, if the EC does not adhere to what they want, elections will not come on. The best thing you can do is to boycott. The best thing you can do is to boycott the elections. You see, and they are saying that the outcome of the elections, if it does not inure to the NDC, they will not accept. You can only do what you did in Ayawaso West, to withdraw from the contest. But don't try to intimidate and play.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. So this has been our program for today. You heard Fred Agbenyo, who is struggling to be heard, NDC parliamentary candidate for Guan constituency. You just said Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, and also Andrews Apia Dankwa, private legal practitioner, member of the Movement for Change, the Afafranto Party. My name is Salom Adonu. Thanks so much for joining us. See you same time next week. Have a good afternoon.